don't like to brag that we are the toughest sports network in Detroit, but we do have a guy named Darren McCarty on our side. Woodward Sports.
What up, though, Detroit? The Fantasy Jerks return. It's episode 3. Week 1 is in the books, and we are going to touch down with all 32 teams, starting with your Detroit Lions. Before we get into it, we got to give a big shout out to our partners over at fantasypoints.com. You want to get the best analysis, the best insider information to win and dominate your fantasy leagues? Head on over to it. You see it right there on your screen, fantasypoints.com. Use that code word Woodward. You're going to get 10% off. If I see some good super chats today, I might just give out one of those subscriptions for free. My name is Anson Wells, joined here by my co-host, Brandon Kaz. How was week 1 for you, my friend?
It was mixed, Anson. 2-2. Not going to lie.
3-3 over here, buddy.
We're going to have plenty of overreactions today, aren't we?
I think so. We got Brendan, the Bomber, in the sound booth. How about you, my friend? How did week 1 treat you?
We could say that I was a Jalen Carter spit away for a possible win, but not to get too ahead of introducing Chris in the booth.
There he is. Special guest today. We got 2 special guests. Chris Platty in the house making us look real good. How are you, my friend?
It's true. It's true. His team, Bombers team, did get the best of my team week 1 in our league. It was a pitiful performance from a lot of people. Dak Prescott in particular, CeeDee Lamb, although is probably more to blame. So,
couple drops.
a couple of drops there could have made some differences there. But the guys didn't come to play, so I'm just gonna. I'm gonna have that talk with them. I'm gonna, get the ship back on track, and we'll be all good. So excited to be here, gentlemen. How's everybody feeling? I went in my 4 leagues. I went 1-3. Rough start.
That was my next question. I went 3-3. If I would have had the balls to start J.J. McCarthy, who I've been saying for 2 weeks is going to be the guy. He's the white Jaden Daniels. How do you start him over Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow, though?
Yeah, you didn't make the wrong call. 9 times out of 10. With the evidence at hand, that's the call you make. So you did the right thing.
Yeah, and we will touch on the Vikings and JJ's performance on Monday night here later on. But let's get right down to it, guys. We're going to start with the Detroit Lions, and we're going to make our way through all 32 teams in a half hour. We do have a very special guest returning from fantasypoints.com. One Theo Greminger will be with us at about 8:05. So you want to make sure you stick around for that. But Detroit Lions, 0-1, and I'm not shocked that they lost. In fact, I picked them to lose this game. But Brandon, did you think there would be no Lions worthwhile starting in all of fantasy? Not one.
Yeah, you got bailed out for the rare instance where individuals started Tesla, because there were some people that got in a pinch and started them and believed it. And, you got a touchdown, 1 catch. So you got
not bad for you 16-team leaguers.
Yeah. There was significant issues along that team. You either A, have to establish the run to pass the ball, or B, you have to establish the pass to run the ball. They didn't do either. It was terrible.
Yeah, and not establishing either one of those takes away the most potent part of the Detroit Lions offense, the most potent part of Jared Goff's repertoire, and that is the play-action pass.
Remarkably accurate was Jared Goff.
Yeah, he was pretty accurate.
75% completion rate, just where there was no flow to the game whatsoever.
No,
Jahmyr Gibbs set a record for the most receptions in the least amount of reception yards. He's the first guy to ever get 10 receptions and have 31 or less reception yards. It was a record-breaking game from Gibbs,
wild.
not the way you want to see it.
And that's the kind of game plan you'd expect them to dial up for Catfish Caleb. It's what we saw in his first possession. Again, we'll talk about Chicago in a minute. Not what you would expect out of this Detroit Lions offense. A lot of miscues on that offensive line. I don't remember.
No push.
Was Sam Laporta playing?
Yeah, it was hard, and then everything was in front of the defense. They did nothing moving across the field. There was very little pre-snap motion to assess whether or not they were running man or zone. And then they weren't moving anybody from zone to zone. So if they're going to play zone against you, which it works the best against Jared Goff. He kills man-to-man.
Yes, he does.
But if they're going to play zone against you, which well, and by the way, you telegraph your game plan all week, and you say, oh, yeah, we're going to have to stop the run. And they're like, oh, no. We're just going to shield the fact that, like, Jaden Reed's going to play, that Wicks is going to play, and we're going to come out, we're going to pass the ball against you. It was just bad on all fronts. It looked uncoordinated. It looked like we took the opponent for granted. It looks like we didn't have a great game plan, and it looks like we were shocked.
Yeah, we looked rusty. We looked new, and we are new in terms of an offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. I thought the defense played very well in the second half.
Well, they only got, over 200 yards. They didn't
250 yards. That's all they allowed. The offense dominated time of possession. They had more first downs. I think it's quite fixable. And even though I do slightly fear the Bears' defense, this is the get-right game. So get your Lions back in your lineup. We're going to talk more Lions when we get Theo on at 8:05.
Real quick, speaking of cheaters, Clete Blakeman, the established NFL referee that cheated Buffalo Bills fans twice in 22 and 25, fined $700,000 in March by the league, is allowed to referee games still? How is this possible? Crucial calls or no calls at opportune times, which he just loves to do, right? 2 trap balls on third down. We had to stop them twice on third downs because of penalties. Early on, momentum swings, and then the hold that was nowhere near the pass.
How about
incidental contact?
How about the block that brought back Branch pick six?
That's what I'm saying. The holding call.
Yeah,
that is terrible with that too. But that was after the play. We would have taken it, right? But it was the call before it that stopped the play, that would have stopped the change of possession.
Well, we're not here to break down too much of the Lions game. We've done that all week.
We're still frustrated, Anson.
Yeah, all of Detroit is. But, hey, after they win this weekend, much like 2024 and 2023, the Lions will be 1-1 to start the season. Let's head out west. Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Murray, Maserati Marvin Harrison, and a couple of running backs. What did you take away from the Arizona game?
Well, I take it that you're happy. We had a good touch share for your boy, Trey Benson.
I love him.
A very consolidated target share, which from fantasy perspective, that's why we're so high on Trey McBride this year, and we're got to continue to roll him out there. Marvin Harrison had a little bit of a bounce back and looked pretty good. Was the defense bad? I don't know. They looked like that team could maybe win 8 games. Probably not. I don't know.
It was also against the Saints.
But from a fantasy perspective, very straightforward.
Yeah, to me, I think that Marvin Harrison was a deal. He was a discount.
Absolutely.
A guy that was being drafted in the second rounds last year was falling in the 4th and 5th this year because he wasn't spectacular last year. He was damn good, though. Mm-hmm. He was damn good. So I think that if you got Marv on your team, you're looking good. The question, though, for me is James Conner, and Trey Benson. At this point, I can't start either one of them. And if I want to own one of them, I want it to be Trey Benson.
Here's the bottom line. Connor's still getting those targets. Still got them. Still performed.
But are you starting them?
Still getting the red zone.
I don't have a choice.
Well.
Most people that drafted him don't have a choice.
You drafted him way too high to sit him.
Yeah, and I thought he was too high to be drafted where he was going. But it's a problem for James Conner owners, and it's a large source of optimism for Trey Benson owners. Over to the south, the Atlanta Falcons.
Bijan.
Michael Penix, and obviously Bijan. I mean, Bijan made all of his owners happy. 2 touchdowns.
Congratulations to all fantasy football owners that have Bijan, and how great that first 105 was it that he went for 50 yards to the house to start off your week. That was just for
exactly what you drafted him for.
Right. That was
the exact opposite of what you drafted Jahmyr Gibbs for. But we know Bijan is the man there. We know that Drake London is supposed to be the man there. And the big question on everybody's mind, because again, when we draft these guys in our fantasy drafts, we have an idea of what's going to happen. But after week 1, you finally get a true understanding of who's being used, what their usage is in the backfield, in the passing game. You also get a feel for how that offense is going to look. So there's a lot of teams we talked about in the very first episode, the different changes, the different schemes, the different coaches, the different players. None of it matters until right now.
And back to Atlanta real fast, that Drake London target share, over 36% or something, very encouraging. We had a Kyle Pittman sighting. Darnell Mooney's out. When Mooney's back and that true wide receiver too, not Ray McLeod running routes, is there, that's a much more dangerous team. Without Caleb McGarry, I was pretty impressed that they managed to almost win that game.
So we saw it at the end of last year. Michael Penix rebirthed Kyle Pitts, the guy that disappeared after his record-breaking rookie season. But then a guy, Drake London, who's just never quite done it.
Kyle Houdini.
Well, and so at this point, Drake really seems like a guy that if you spent that late second-round pick, or if you were fortunate enough to get him in the third, that is going to be a league winner for you, it looks like.
Yeah, it definitely does. Atlanta looks like they're going to be a pretty decent team this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Atlanta and Tampa Bay's division to win or lose, I would say. Shout out everybody in the chat. Dante Kelsey has a great question that we will pose to Theo later on in the show.
No.
Keep your questions coming.
The answer is no, Dante.
Oh, you saw it. Okay. So I might have a different answer for that one, but it's a little early. But we will get to your questions. So get them in the super chat. We'll write them down. We'll circle back to them. Let's move over to Baltimore. Hell of a game between Baltimore and Buffalo. Honestly, we can talk about one and then talk about the other. Lamar Jackson, we know he's the man.
Hey, I'd like to tell Biggins that I don't want to see his name in chat.
Oh, Biggins is the man. He's gonna get in chat. He's gonna disrupt.
Hey, he's a grateful winner, I will say. He made me feel good about beating me. So thank you, Biggins.
I gotta say, Biggins is one of the most ridiculous, insightful, intelligent conversations you will ever have with a human being. He's a very smart guy. And a little bit out there in the most wonderful of ways.
Like
but
we are.
Yeah, for sure. Baltimore, he fits right in with the fantasy jerks. Let's just say that. So Baltimore, to me, didn't see anything that surprised me. Zay Flowers surprised
me.
A lot of guys let him slip late.
I got one surprise from Baltimore.
Okay, let me finish with Zay Flowers real quick. Yeah. Zay Flowers, to me, I had to get late on. I had to get him because I was ignoring wide receivers early, and I really felt like this was the year for him where who's the number one there? Is it Zay Flowers? It's supposed to be. We saw some other guys come out of nowhere. We saw a lot of touchdowns go to Mandrews. And realistically, Flowers has the ability and the speed to be a game breaker every single Sunday. For me, that was a must-have. And I think that anybody that passed on him or anybody that got him late, they're either feeling real bad about themselves or feeling real good about themselves. I'll let you get to your point. The one other guy, though, that really has me mystified, don't give up hope yet, is the one catch, Mark Andrews. I think he'll be better.
That was painful, but I have to do something before my 1 point. So you can go on to the next team, and then we'll get back.
Well, let me just say right here, Zay Flowers, for me, is my sell high of the week. I think that his opportunities in this game, I mean, they're not going to score 42 points every single game. Yes, we've always asked, is Zay Flowers the one?
They're going to score 30, though.
That's not the question, though. Is Zay Flowers the one? Zay Flowers is the one. The question is, can a wide receiver one on Baltimore be a productive fantasy option? We have not seen that since what?
And you're right, but I felt this year was the year that could truly happen. That and this guy
right so far. But.
Well, yeah, and remember, he's still a young guy. I think 10 years ago, it was year 3 for every wide receiver in the league. We waited that. We expected nothing. And if they were better than that early on, it was an aberration. Now, if guys aren't spectacular in their first year, they're kind of kicked to the curb, at least in fantasy owners' minds. I felt like he was disrespected. I feel like he shouldn't be going past the 5th round. I got him in the 8th.
Yeah, that's a spectacular value. But back to it. Rashawn Ali. We had a Rashawn Ali sighting.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, and he looked explosive. He looked healthy. It was a prospect I really liked.
And this is a second-year guy, a guy that was supposed to be part of the mix last year but got injured before the season really got going.
Keaton Mitchell was not active. He can't play special teams. So actually view Rashawn Ali as the direct backup too, because Justice Hill has a standalone role. Rashawn Ali, I view as the direct backup to Derrick Henry.
Yeah, because Keaton and Justice Hill are pass-catching specialists, guys with speed and, to your point, special teamers. Moving over to Buffalo, it was on a tip, but you called it, Brendan. Your boy, Keon Coleman, got on the board with a touchdown. Is he the number one wide receiver in Buffalo?
Yes, 100% hands down. I'm just mad I didn't get him in every league.
I didn't get him in any league.
Here.
I got him in one, and I'm really happy that I got him.
I mean, I told you guys last week he's going to be the wide receiver 1 on that team. And again,
Well, you told us
Bomber-
after we'd already drafted Bomber.
Right.
Yeah, where were you for Fantasy Jerks episode 2?
Right, that's on me, but still, the price now might be too high to go acquire him. I'm just glad if you're on him, you hitched on for the ride.
Yeah, you might want to wait a week or two until he has a down week if you want to acquire him. I still see Khalil Shakir over there.
But
he's
you
not
might
the
not
big
have to
play
overpay.
guy.
Like some guys might just want to sell high, and
For sure.
I just think he's a target. Try to get him, and I think it could pay off.
Okay, I like that. Keon Coleman and some other buy lows or sell highs. Another topic we will cover with Theo when he gets here. I thought James Cook looked fine. A lot of people worried about Ray Davis over there.
James Cook looked great.
Yes, absolutely.
What I was really encouraging about is something I brought up in episode 3 last week is the lack of target share for James Cook. That target share was there this week.
This is episode 3, baby. Isn't it?
It's 4.
3? 2? 3?
4.
4? Wow. Time flies when you're broadcasting.
Does.
It does. Keep going.
Yeah, so back to it. James Cook, that target share.
Do people even know that James Cook is Dalvin Cook's brother? Do people not know this?
This just
it's in the
in.
blood.
This just in. James Cook is Dalvin Cook's brother.
Well, you heard it here first from the Fantasy Jerks. James Cook, a guy that he slipped into the 3rd or 4th round for you, I was celebrating. I took him every time that he made it there. But Buffalo looks very fantasy friendly. Carolina, a place that a lot of you thought would be fantasy friendly. And I thought you were all crazy, but somehow I let you guys talk me into Tet
did.
and Chuba in a couple of leagues, but
Both those guys were fine.
they were safe.
Yeah, they were fine. For a week 1 performance for Tet, that was fine. 5 catches,
You can
68
start
yards.
him now, right?
That was good.
I believe
that's
so.
Right. That's right. Didn't you have to start him? Most likely, if you drafted him where you did.
At worst, I guess at best he's your flex. At worst, he's a wide receiver 2 for you.
That's right.
But at this point, seeing that kind of usage in a first game for a rookie is very encouraging. We went back and we did the history over the last 15 years. First game running backs, first game wide receivers. For the guys that were supposed to be the bell cow, for guys that were supposed to be the number 1 wide receiver on their team, they mostly had games like Matthew Golden's 2-catch game that we saw on Sunday. So when you see this kind of usage out of a guy, you've got to take notice when they're a rookie.
Yeah, that's right. And then, but also I do expect some sort of bounce back from Carolina very soon. I think Ike Ikwanu, they're fantastic. I think he was in the Pro Bowl last year, left tackle. He's going to be back this week, so
Okay.
that's going to make a huge difference.
Interesting.
Jacksonville's defense looked pretty good.
Yeah, but is Bryce Young good? Is he average?
Yeah, I think he proved he's average.
Is he? Did he, over 6 games?
Last year?
Yeah.
Quarterback 1 through the last 5 or 6 or
Okay.
whatever it was.
Small sample sizes, my friend.
No, it's a
DPO
small
would say.
sample size, but he did it. So we'll see. I'm not counting them out completely yet. I just got faith in Dave Canales. Maybe I'm wrong. I've been
got
wrong
you.
before, Anson.
How about Chicago? You ready for Catfish Caleb talk? So this guy comes out, and Ben Johnson has the whole first possession choreographed.
Oh, his first quarters are always fantastic.
1 pass over 10 yards.
Was Ben Johnson a dancer? Because that choreography through the first quarter.
The first quarter, honestly, it was like, oh boy.
He looked like a Pro
Do we
Bowler
have
in
to
the first
worry
half.
about the Bears? But then,
I was getting texts basically to that too.
Yeah.
I don't think the Lions could beat the Bears. I'm like, hey, let's just take it easy. For a
well,
second.
and that's what happens. You get that first picture, and you're like, wow, she's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And you're excited. I got a hottie on my hands. And then the pitchers start coming, and then you start figuring out by the third quarter, this is just a catfish named Caleb. Because as the game got going, not the choreography, but when the game turned on in the second half, Caleb did his disappearing act. Of course, last possession, he saved Brendan's day and didn't embarrass him with a 13. He got him a 20. But that's what we saw out of Caleb last year, where all these guys hung their hats on him being, so he's still generational. No, he had, what do we call that? Stat Padford stats. He was running down at the end of games and putting up a touchdown when it didn't matter, when he was facing a cover 2. On the other side of it, I saw
jump points count though.
But of course, and they do
count.
they do count. But this guy's never leading the charge to 40 points. He's playing from behind, which is nice. But I don't want to risk my fantasy season on this kid. And
Well,
then,
you didn't have didn't have to, and he was showing it with his legs, Brendan. And you're a guy that puts his money where his mouth is. He drafted him. What do you think about that, Brendan?
I think that he was a top 10 QB this past week, and in a bad game. Where
What,
he
on
wasn't
stats, you mean?
Yes,
Okay.
he had 26 points in our league, QB 9, on a 12-man league. So I was better than most people out there starting QBs, and like you said, he gets it on the ground. He gets a rushing touchdown in a game where their offense looked bad in the second half. They look bad. This is not his best effort. He still got you 26 points. He's still out there slinging the ball, sometimes good, sometimes not. But
it could have been a huge game.
It could have been a huge game.
To your point, the one thing that I said to the Caleb truthers last year was that he needs to run more. And some designed runs, some scrambles, but the kid can move. And the fact that he never did it last year, defenses didn't need to stay honest. They knew that he was going to stay in the pocket and most likely stay in the pocket too long. Those scrambles, first touchdown, last touchdown, some in between, I think it kept the Vikings defense guessing a little bit more.
That offensive line looked good.
Yeah, and if that team can continue to get him 40, 35 yards rushing a game, sometimes, hit the 60 mark, now you're scheming for the Bears completely different than you did last year.
Yeah, that's right.
Offensively, in the wide receiver room, I told you to stay away from DJ Moore. I think he's going to be a problem all year. I think there'll be some good games when he's on your bench, and then you'll force him into your lineup, and he'll let you down like he did on Sunday or Monday night. I think Rome Odunze showed us that by the end of this season, that's the number one wide receiver in that offense.
That's his room.
That's his Rome, that's for sure. Let's move
Still
on.
a DJ fan.
Yeah, I'm not. Let's move on to Cincinnati and the Bungles. They were bungling all over the place against Cleveland, a team that they should have handled easily. And Jamar Chase doesn't show up. T. Higgins doesn't show up. Doesn't matter who their tight end is there. Burrow didn't show up. In fact, the only safe start was one man named Chase Brown, which I told you all to reach into the second round for.
Okay, so T. Higgins, major disappointment. Right.
Yeah.
What did I say last week, though? What did I say? I said, could it be that Kevin Stefanski is actually a decent coach? And I think we're seeing that.
I was impressed with them, with the lack of playmakers, with the lack of a quarterback. You got a guy who's 52 out
Tillman,
there.
Judy, Harold Fannin.
Yeah, Fannin looked amazing.
Samson, who we told you to pick up last week, 8 catches, 64 yards. Running back, what this week in PPR?
Where are you
15,
guys on
12?
Dylan Sampson? I had a debate all night last night with my co-owner for a team. We were looking at him or Hollywood Brown or
Running back
QJ.
16, by the way, Dylan Sampson last week.
Okay,
Shout out Hollywood Brown.
Yeah, that's
Got 0 points for me on my fucking bench. Him and Keenan Allen.
Not Hollywood Brown.
Yeah.
No.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Hollywood Brown. Sorry.
No, Hollywood Brown had
Yeah.
6 for 95.
I know.
Oh, he was on your
but
bench.
he's on my bench, so damn near 0
Yeah.
points.
Bro, you can't
So-
start him week 1.
I know there was and those two, my 1-3 record would have been flipped if I started Keenan Allen and I started Hollywood Brown. Those
Keenan
two would have
Allen,
made the difference.
A guy we're going to get to. Keenan Allen
we talked about
is
it.
a wide receiver 1.
Yeah, we talked about it. He's a target magnet, and Justin Herbert, he's
Better
back.
than DJ Moore.
That's Justin Herbert's number
That's his
1 wide
guy.
receiver for his whole career,
And-
except for
and-
last
and-
year.
And we'll get to the Chargers.
Yes, we will.
But back to Cleveland. One more thing. Judkins coming back this week. That being said, I'm not a Quishon Judkins fan.
I know.
And I'm still want a deep cut for you folks at home with deep rosters. Pick up the Rock Sanders. He had a touchdown last week.
Oh, the Rocket, Raheem Sanders, a guy that, man, I love this kid. If he would have came out 2 years ago, before he transferred from Arkansas to South Carolina, the guy could have been one of the top 3 running backs taken.
He's got it all. All the measurements, performance.
Yes, he can do all 3 facets of the game. He was the highest paid undrafted free agent out of all the class. He, in fact, was excused from all rookie OTA activities by Jim Harbaugh when he was originally a Charger because they had that much plans for him. Somehow he gets exposed to waivers, ends up in Cleveland, gets a touchdown first game.
Yeah.
Raheem Sanders, probably a name that most people don't even know.
No, that's right. He's a deep cut. I'm a dynasty fan of Rock Sanders. Size, speed, agility, burst, and the performance in big conferences to what more do you ask for? It's just give him the opportunity.
So staying on Cleveland real quick here, Dylan Sampson has been a top 2, 3, 4, 5 addition in most waiver circles.
We told you to get him early last week, so there's no excuse.
But can you start him this coming week? Is he I mean, at the same point, they're playing
You
from
have a
behind.
floor.
They had a losing formula in week 1, and that formula was to throw the ball to him 8 times. Is that going to happen again?
So he's the safety valve, and if you're in a PPR league, he's a start.
Okay.
Because he's at least an RB3. When you have that floor, that reception floor, that 6 targets, those 4 catches, and do something with them, I mean, I think they figured out they got a winner on their hands. There's a reason why they took him in the 4th round.
No, I'm a big fan. Dallas, interesting situation there. Dak did look sharp. CD, 20 points.
Could have been bigger.
Could have been 35-40.
Yeah.
3 drop balls, 2 that were
wants
super catchable.
He wants some back.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but right after that game, he was at the jugs machine.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's gonna pay off. Dak did not look rusty. The team was a little I think they were a little shocked that they were able to hang.
Their running game worked.
Yeah, fantastic.
Javonte
breakout
has
for
some
Javonte?
burst.
The super post hype breakout.
Post.
11th round, Javonte Williams paying some bills. 2 touchdowns help.
I stayed away from him everywhere.
Yeah, me too.
I think the Jaden Blue smokescreen had a lot of people staying away from Javonte, as well as the injuries. But what we saw out of him his first year as a Bronco, the kid's got swerve, man. He can play. It seems like he's pretty darn healthy now. They're still figuring out how to use him. Is he
maybe
a guy
maybe not the best vision guy, though, because like when you watch him, he just kind of seems to run into other bodies.
So was it just 2 touchdowns?
The point is he is the running back 1 for this Dallas offense. I am the owner of him in Fantasy Jerks. Might be a little bit biased here, but I am a guy who likes to take shots on these guys when I see it doesn't matter who the player is. I saw in the draft, this is the running back 1 for the Dallas Cowboys offense, whose defense was already bad when Micah Parsons was there. I loved the way their defense looked for fantasy, and I think he's going to be a start every week from now on until Jaden Blue shows something, which, I mean, he didn't play that game, so he hasn't yet.
I mean, look, Rico Dowdle had the job all last year.
Let me ask you this. Do you agree that it should either be Rick Dowdle or Rico Dowdell?
Rick's a fantastic name.
Rick Dowdle, not Rico Dowdle, Rico Dowdell. Or
Anson,
Rick Dowdle.
Are you going to badger me on name pronunciation?
I hate his name more than any other player's name I've hated in a long time, since Antoine Glandular Problem Walker.
Speaking of mispronouncing names, Menangi.
Manangai.
Kyle
Manangai.
Menangi.
An interesting player in the backfield of Chicago. Dallas, though, you have to put Javonte in your starting lineup. Don't expect 2 touchdowns again. But, yeah, I think Brendan's right, man. This is the usage guy in the backfield for Dallas. Moving on to the aforementioned Denver Broncos. This situation kind of seems a little static to me. Not quite sure who the number 1 wide receiver is there outside of – is it Sutton? It's supposed to be –
Franklin.
Is it Franklin?
Yeah.
See, and that's why I stayed away from that whole situation, because I don't know about Franklin. Evan Ingram scares the shit out of me.
Yep.
And then RJ Harvey, man, I thought he was really overdrafted. I don't know if he's going to get the usage.
Did you see his 50-yarder?
Who are you owning? No, I did not. He had a nice look.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, RJ Harvey looked explosive. Dobbins looked good. Denver looked really good.
But is there a guy that you want on
Troy
your team
Franklin.
to start? That's it, huh?
Troy Franklin's the guy I'm targeting.
Is there anybody else on the team?
Cortland Sutton?
Cortland Sutton to me is the only guy on that team that I really want right now. I wouldn't mind having RJ Harvey, but I wasn't spending the 5th-round capital to get him.
Well, I mean, where I got Dobbins in 2 leagues, it was like 11 or 12 or
Well, yeah,
or
Dobbins was
10
the
or-
value. Harvey was not.
Yeah. And Dobbins paid it. You know, they're going to share the backfield. He looked good. He was getting targets. Harvey looks good. I could see that role increasing. But there's passing volume in these Sean Payton offenses. And Mims, 4 targets. That was concerning. I really expected him to step up. So did David Yoon. But we would expect
Shout out the Unabomber.
But yeah,
You still talk to him, huh?
yeah. Troy Franklin, I could definitely see emerging, taking that. It was
That's a
Devon
deep cut, my man.
He was picked in the 4th round last year. Vele is gone, and it's Troy Franklin's job, and he had 4 catches to a good start to week 1.
Shout out R.J. Graham, a member of the Fantasy Jerks League. He just went up and picked up Keenan Allen in our league. Based on the conversation we just had, Keenan Allen is 33. Big and saying he's going to pull a hammy sooner than later. That was the first half of his career, my friend. He was injury prone. The guy has been a model of health and consistency and 1,000-yard seasons, unless the catfish is throwing him the ball. Let's move on to Green Bay.
Cartier, real quick, hold tight. We're going to talk Lions fantasy impact.
Oh, yeah. Cartier, we are going to have Theo on in just a moment, and he will be starting off with that exact conversation. Green Bay, and then we'll probably be able to get to Houston in before we get to Theo. Green Bay, I really thought Matthew Golden was going to be the number 1 there. There's plenty of time for him to emerge as that, but there's no wide receiver worth starting on that team yet again this year, correct?
That's what it looks like. And then maybe it's Jaden Reed.
Yeah,
he looked healthy.
And was the playmaker for them last year. I just feel like
Wide
they
receiver
don't
23,
get him the ball
wide receiver
enough.
33.
It's wide receiver by committee over there. I told you guys. I'm an owner
Hey,
of
I'll tell you
Jaden
one
Reed
thing
and
Jordan
Dynasty
Love does
still.
is he spreads the love. Like, he really does get the ball out to myriad different targets.
No doubt about that. And then Josh Jacobs didn't look very good. I'm not worried about him. Tucker Kraft catches a ball in the end zone.
Well, I'm glad
like
he didn't
normal.
look very good. The Lions telegraphed it all week that they were going to try to stop the run, and they weren't concerned about the Green Bay pass.
Yeah.
Biggins in the chat says your guy Matthew Golden is too small to be a wide receiver 1. What do you think about that, Zay Flowers owner?
Well,
It's a double shot.
I'm pretty sure I waived
Shots
Golden in this league or another league already. I love him as a dynasty piece. I don't believe that he's too small. There's been plenty of players in the league at his size and profile that have been very, very, very productive. It's Jordan Love, how he spreads the love, as you just so eloquently put it. There isn't a game plan to throw the ball to one guy in one moment. It's just whoever's open, and as good of a prospect that I see Golden to be. In terms of redraft,
Actually, I picked up something on Love, and I don't want to get into a full-on game analysis, but I'm pretty sure that LaFleur is giving Love his primary reads, and there's some predictions to be found there. Like Love isn't just going out all willy-nilly and saying I'm going to get through 4 progressions and now I'm going to throw to Jaden Reed on this. I think he's going to 1 and 2 and running back dump off, and that's it. But what's really driving that is LaFleur is telling him where to look based on certain play calls. If the Lions can figure that out, they're done. The other
keep
teams.
it simple, stupid.
That's right.
There you go. All right, and let's touch on Houston a little bit. Absolute mess in the backfield. No Joe Mixon. We don't know if he's even going to play this year. Got Dameon Pierce. You got
he looked like
Woody from UCLA.
Got some touches.
I'm
Chubb was fine. That team was bad.
Yeah, and they look bad. They probably, as Brendan mentioned last week, they probably have the worst offensive line out there. Is that offensive line so bad that Nico Collins is a problem?
No, I don't. I don't think so. I think they're going to be fine. So
Okay.
maybe my panic meter is going to go up next week if they continue
Yeah,
this.
but you're not paying attention to anybody
Dude, the
else
Rams are
on
legit.
that team but Nico Collins.
What did I say last week?
Oh yeah, the Rams are. Of
Dude,
course.
that Rams defense.
The Rams are the only team that's been drafting as good or better than the Lions over the last 5 years. And I wonder where Mr. Campbell, or excuse me, where Mr. Holmes learned that from.
That's right.
So Houston is in the
Mr.
books
Sneak.
here. Let's see if we got Theo on the line. Not quite yet. So we will move on to Indy. Danny Dimes. No
Dimes.
Anthony Richardson.
Now they call him Indiana Jones.
Oh,
I like
love
that.
it. I love it.
He's too bad of a player for these many good nicknames. I mean, Vanilla Vic, Danny Dimes,
All right,
Indiana
so
Jones.
yeah, honestly, he had a great first year. You know, he had a solid playoff performance. That franchise in New York is terrible. All right, it's led by a terrible head coach. It trickles down to all of those players. How Saquon was able to do the things that he did, well, it's because he's Saquon.
Did you see Neighbors diss Dable?
No.
During the game. Oh God, it was
What'd he
funny.
do?
You guys check that out. No, it was Dable was doing something and Neighbors was not happy that he wasn't
Oh,
targeted.
where he
and
puts
that-
his hand up to give him
wide
5?
open, yeah, and just
just
totally
no,
left him
not
hanging,
giving it to him.
and then he
Left
went there,
him
like
hanging
there
hard.
was this awkward half hug thing that Dable tried to touch Neighbors.
I did
Neighbors
see
was
that.
disgusted.
I
Like,
did
get
see that.
away from me.
Yeah, I want no part of the Giants, but in terms of the
long's
Indianapolis
the
Colts,
Russ leash?
Michael Pittman was maybe the best wide receiver value in all drafts.
And we told you.
We did tell you that. Go get Michael Pittman. The fact that he was lasting until the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th round was just criminal.
Yeah.
He's been a wide receiver, too, at the worst, with a
healthy.
run-first quarterback who couldn't stay healthy getting him the ball. Danny Dimes has shown he can make a number one receiver.
What about
abs-
Tyler Warren, too?
Yeah.
Oh, we're getting there.
Yeah,
We're getting
Warren,
there, baby.
Warren was good. We had a
Tyler Warren, I didn't have the balls to put him in my lineup first week,
No,
but he will be in my lineup every single week the rest of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Jones was fine. The offensive line looked good. The defense was good. Taylor looked good. Jones was distributing the
And my
ball.
boy DJ Giddens with 12 carries because they were up so much. I like the Colts. Can't believe I'm saying
Michael
that.
Pittman has a hurt butt.
That offense, though, looks
He has a glute injury.
absolutely capable of carrying tight end 1, wide receiver 1, and a running back 1. But let's get to fantasy expert 1 in from fantasypoints.com. Shout out Matt Damon. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well, guys.
The Theo
week one,
Greminger. Come on, man.
I get
How
it.
many people call you Matt Damon? No, you got to hear it all the time.
as I get older, it's not quite as frequent. But yeah, I used to get it a ton. So yeah, it's I've been called worse, guys. Been called.
Are we
worse.
in for some good Theo hunting?
Yeah, you guys, listen. Whatever you guys need. Happy to unpack the week. I mean, it just sort of came up, and it was a really, really weird week. We had some duds. We also had some breakouts. I think we learned a lot this week, and a lot of times week 2 things kind of come back to normal. But yeah, I heard you guys talking about Tyler Warren. Certainly, he's one that we're super excited about. Harold Fannin Jr. That one was super interesting. Yeah, those rookie tight ends keep producing. We saw it with Sam Laporta with your Lions 2 years ago. Saw it with Brock Bowers last year. And then you had Warren and Fannin both tying for what's a new record for the most tight end catches by a rookie in week 1
wow.
in the history of the NFL. They both tied the record. So they tied
Bring
each
in the
other.
stats,
It's incredible. So yeah, it's a really, really fun week. Looking forward to week 2.
Well, let's dive right into our Detroit Lions. You guys told us they had a top 5 offensive line, brother. They did not look like a top 5 offensive line in week 1. The running game, well, it never showed up. I can't say it disappeared because it never arrived in week 1. Is there reason for concern in both the Lions running game as well as that offensive line they're running behind?
Yeah, I mean, the offensive line, a lot of people will say that a really good offensive coordinator can make an okay line look great. So it's not a great look for John Morton coming out the gate. I think we expected a lot more out of John Morton, and now there's a ton of pressure on him heading into week 2. I think it's also Green Bay's really, really good, and I think it's a wake-up call to everybody in the NFL that Green Bay came out and they had that game circled all summer long against Detroit and came out and really manhandled the Lions on both sides of the ball. Physically, the line play for Green Bay, I thought, was outstanding. We know Micah Parsons is going to be a massive problem for a lot of teams. He was in Dallas. Now he's got better players around him in Green Bay. So I don't know. I think it's really things can improve week to week. I don't think it's any reason for like hey, let's go crazy here. But it's a lot of pressure on Detroit. They do get Chicago this week, so this is a game that I'm sure that Lions fans expect to win. If Ben Johnson can beat Detroit this week, then it's major panic time for everybody in the Lions organization. But I think they'll get it done, and I think that this is still a playoff team. But yeah, that offensive line certainly did not look like a top 5 unit. They certainly looked like one in transition. I think positives coming out of the game. I think Sam Laporta looked terrific. We talked about him sort of being a value in drafts, and not a value in drafts like he was in 2023, but he was sort of on his own little island where he had his own little, it was George Kittle, and then it was like the Sam Laporta tier followed up by a group of everybody else. But Laporta looked pretty good. I think it was opportunistic game flow for him, but he still looked good. He looked athletic. Started out last year banged up. Now he looks fully healthy. So that's a positive. And I think that Jahmyr Gibbs, we saw him with about a 64% snap share, which I'm hoping is the trend. We talked about Gibbs being able to sort of take over, break fantasy. If he's going to play 65% of the snaps, to me, that's a big win for him after seeing him sort of in a 50-50 with Montgomery last year. And we got to like the Jahmyr Gibbs pass catching. I've heard some people pouring cold water on it, saying it wasn't really like a lot. Some of those weren't really designed. It's just Jared Goff had to get the ball out of his hands quickly. But anyway, you cut it, seeing Jahmyr Gibbs get that many catches in a game. So there's a couple of little positives. And Isaac Tesla, I think, absolutely deserves more playing time. They've got to find a way to keep Tesla on the field a ton. I know Khalif Raymond is a very different player, but that would sort of be my wrinkle if I was running the Lions. So yeah, it's a big week for you guys against Chicago. What's the confidence level in your neck of the woods on Detroit winning that game?
Panic.
There's a lot of brown bags. There's a lot of the new money Lions fans are hopping off the bandwagon. There's a lot of us old school people that we know it's 1 week. If we win next week, this weekend, we're 1-1 the same way we were the last 2 years. My question for you next is, we talk about that offensive line. You talk about how good Green Bay was. What kind of problems is the Chicago front going to pose for this young offensive line, this new offensive line in our run game?
Yeah, I mean, Chicago, the beginning of the game looked like that defense was just an absolute unit. You have to wonder if there's a little bit of a hangover effect playing on a short week, where you had basically that game looked like it was going to be won. It looked like it was going to be a big step forward for both Caleb Williams and for Ben Johnson. And then to have Minnesota just score like those 3 fourth-quarter touchdowns. The passing touchdowns were one thing, and it was J.J. McCarthy ripping off that scramble. That was, for me, there could be a little bit of a hangover effect. I think there's also more of like losing and winning are contagious in the NFL. And Caleb Williams certainly had a lot of losses last year. That Minnesota game could have been massive, massive for Chicago. I think Detroit gets it done this week against the Chicago Bears. I think that, playing the short week for the Bears doesn't help them. I think if it was on the flip side and the Lions had the short week, I think Chicago would have an extra time to get up for everything. But I sort of would lean towards Detroit winning the game, getting things together. I don't think it'll look as bad. And I think Chicago, that defensive front, it looks good to me, but I don't think they're quite at that level of like Green Bay. Green Bay looks like they're going to affect a lot of games like that. I think that's really kind of the national takeaway from me is Green Bay's in a really, really good spot. Everything was sort of clicking. I thought Jordan Love looked very good. Again, he didn't have to have a whole lot of high volume, but he looked very, very accurate. The Jaden Reed touchdown, the Tucker Kraft touchdown, and Josh Jacobs finds the end zone for like the 9th game in a row in the regular season. I just think it's more of a Green Bay's really good, but I don't think it's brown bag time for Lions fans. I think they'll turn things around this week against Chicago. Things are not going to go as smoothly for them as last year. You lose both coordinators. A lot of times that leads to the team being a lot less consistent. But I do think there's enough really good players on your team that you'll turn around and get the win this week against Chicago.
Well, I sure hope so, Theo. Back to the offensive line. Did you see it all coming? And all offseason, I thought that Tate Relich was going to be our starting center. And then when the game came around and Graham Glasgow was given to be the center, I was completely floored. They looked completely disorganized. Why didn't they stick with the plan to put Tate at center? And why is nobody talking about it?
I don't know. This is one where maybe it's a lack of like fully embracing the younger player on the interior of the line. Maybe you really don't know what's going on unless you kind of get in that locker room. We thought it was going to be Tate as well. It was sort of if you look at the roster, it sort of would make sense to use him. I couldn't tell you. You really don't know, what goes on in the positional meetings, what goes on with Morton, what goes on with Campbell making those sort of decisions. But I do think you'll see some wrinkles, and I think you'll see, like I bring up Tesla, I think after a sobering loss, and it's not just the Lions. I mean, there's plenty of teams that lost this week that I think will have some self-scouting and embrace the youth a little bit more. Like the New England Patriots, I think this is the Travion Henderson week. I think he's going to come out and get a ton of work against Miami. I think that'll be
crap.
Yeah, I think Mondre is pretty
He's
dusty.
dust.
And I think that Henderson is just explosive. And it was sort of like there's going to be multiple teams across the league where we've seen over the years where sometimes these rookies get more and more opportunities like 2, 3, 4 games into the year because NFL teams will defer to veterans. The veterans don't do it. And then they're like, you know what? I'm going to actually use the really, really talented young guy we have. So it's not just you guys. I think it's a lot of teams across the league. But I specifically think it's the Travion Henderson week. It just feels that way. We saw, Vrabel talking him up this week, a little bit of coach speak about how we're going to try to get him the ball more. I think that it's a big tilting game for New England this week against Miami. So, yeah, it's multiple younger players I think are going to see more work this week. I think some of the younger players we were frustrated with this past week in fantasy might see an uptick this week, and things will go their way a little bit more. It's just always the way it goes, and I think this rookie class has a lot of quality to it.
I agree. 2 things. John Hansen in his buy lows, Drake May. We're high on Drake May still. 46 pass attempts. Nobody saw that coming, though. They got to establish the run. But let's get back to the Detroit Lions real quick, Theo, if you don't mind. Tesla, we need him in there for zone beating. Him running those drags in the preseason was unstoppable. And if they're going to run zones against Jared Goff, we need to be running Tesla across that zone, that giant, him and Porta crushing faces across the middle of those defenses. But to the next point, are we adjusting projections on Jameson Williams?
I think that we need to temper our expectations for him. I certainly hyped him up a ton this offseason. But if there's going to be problems, yeah, I mean, I was all over Jameson. So I have some exposure to Jameson. My Jameson bags are packed. For me, it's if the offensive line, this might come out, there might be a few little adjustments, a few little wrinkles, and they might look much, much better this week. But I think if they struggle again, offensively, blocking and all that sort of thing up front, then I think we have to scale it back a little bit for Jameson. Amon-Ra St. Brown is sort of his own thing. And we also saw, Laporta is sort of his own thing. But I think Jameson, we're going to need a little bit better blocking for him to reach his full capacity. I still think he's a super talented player. They want to get him the ball. They want to get him the ball downfield. This could be a game where he breaks out. But yeah, I think maybe some of the enthusiasm with Jameson, we could have pivoted, gone a couple of different ways, but I'm not ready to sort of bury the 6th round Jameson Williams picks. I think those could still pay off. I mean, we've seen this time and time again, guys, where guys coming out of the gate don't fire, don't put up big fantasy performances, people overreact, and then all of a sudden in week 2, week 3, the guy's on your bench and he drops 25 points. I think Williams, all it takes is one kind of player in terms of his explosiveness. So I wouldn't be in panic mode. There was a lot of these guys in this range of drafts that didn't fire in week 1. George Pickens, of course, didn't fire away. Teteroa McMillan, who was going around those guys. Carolina was sort of stuck in the mud. There was wide receivers drafted well ahead of Jameson that didn't fire off. Brian Thomas Jr. managers, Nico Collins managers. I mean, we can go down the list. There was Jamar Chase managers. This week, Jamar Chase was just a complete zero. So T. Higgins, complete zero. This was a week where unders hit across the board, and a lot of wide receivers didn't do anything. Devonta Smith went in a similar range as Jamison Williams, did nothing this past game. So
AJ Brown.
AJ Brown. I mean, you can go down the list. So it's an Adam Harstead who writes for Football Guys, really, really top-notch writer, has always talked about sort of like the ADP is still the best way to project the fantasy season, even like up until week 6. So even though we think we learned so much, we usually get the market pretty well, and then things will sort of even themselves out. So we'll trust the process on Jameson for now. But yeah, it would have been really nice to see him score like a really long touchdown and Detroit hold up front. So, but here we are. It's week 2, and they have a winnable game against a quarterback who loses a lot of games in Caleb Williams.
Yes, he does. He is the catfish. Glad that we kind of got into some of the buy low stuff here, because had a great article yesterday on fantasypoints.com. You guys got to head on over and check them out. The premier analytics site in all of fantasy football right now. And when you get there, punch in that code word Woodward. You're going to save yourself 10% off. Question, first one, John Hansen puts up that buy low, and there's a guy on that list that we just mentioned his name. He's in Dallas, and I know Brendan would like to ask you about him.
George Pickens. I think that he is the biggest buy low candidate for this week. I mean, we saw what it's like when Dallas's defense goes down like that and they have to throw the ball. I think that he just missed some opportunities and that he's due for a bounce back. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, George Pickens had everything you'd want to see from in terms of a snap share, in terms of an air yard share. This was a tough one, too. I mean, Philadelphia is a tough defense. Dallas had some real positive moments there. But, yeah, I'm with you. I think George Pickens, if you believe in unrealized air yards, you believe in air yard share, which I think is an appropriate way to sort of approach things. Pickens had those opportunities. We saw him draw pass interference penalties. They're going to call his number up. This is not a player that I think we need to have any sort of major panic with. And I thought Dak looked very good too. Like Dak was on point with his accuracy. The fourth quarter, we saw CeeDee Lamb on that final drive with like 2 uncharacteristic drops. They could have won that game at the end if they would have connected on those CeeDee Lamb passes. So, yeah, I'm with John. I'm with you. I think George Pickens, if you have him, fire him up this week. I think just kind of trust the process, trust the drum beats. Dallas losing that game. I mean, Dallas covered the number. Philadelphia, just an absolute awesome team and very strong defensive back play. I think things will get better for George Pickens, and I think that this is something we can bet on with him getting downfield looks, playing a ton of snaps, and getting those very, very valuable air yards. I still believe that when we look back at midseason, George Pickens is going to be the number 2 fantasy option in Dallas, a player they're continually scheming for. I know Javonte Williams had a strong first game, but I think it's going to be George Pickens. I think he's really the safest bet. So I'm with you. I think George Pickens absolutely a buy low if you've got people in your league that are looking to sell.
A guy that was
Mitchell was covering George Pickens.
Kenyon was on him all game, and that's a tough matchup. Another guy that was set it and forget it for a long time, stopped being so last year, and our guy Chris has a question about him.
Yeah, I mean, speaking from the perspective of an owner of this player, Tyreek Hill, man, like what the heck is going on? I know you're only as good as your quarterback, so that poses a question. I mean, I'm hearing everything from he's going to be in Pittsburgh by week 8 to bench him, you can't play him. Like, you know, there's so much range to Tyreek Williams right now, and I got him as my flex, and I'm honestly debating, you know, benching him next week because he's only as good as his quarterback, no matter how dynamic of a receiver he is. Where are you at with Tyreek Hill?
It's a really, really tilting one, right? Who are your options?
So, right now I'm looking at, because I'm mixing up my leagues here. Like I got guys like George Pickens, and I got I forget how to say the Carolina receiver. We talked about him a couple times so far.
Teteroa McMillan.
Yeah. So I'm looking at guys like him to kind of put in that flex spot for me. to replace him, or the Jacksonville running back Travis Etienne Jr. Yeah, like I'm looking at those guys. I mean, look, they're not safe bets either per se, but I mean with Tyreek, I mean what can you do?
Let me put a little perspective on this one for a direct comparison. Hollywood Brown or Tyreek Hill as a starter for you this week, Theo?
I mean, that's a difficult one. I think I'm going Hollywood Brown, though. Hollywood Brown had 16 targets. It's a game where – but I don't think that's I think Hollywood Brown for me is almost a fringe wide receiver one because of for this week, because of the lack of competition he has at the wide receiver spot. Juju Smith-Schuster. Travis Kelce looks completely dusted. I know he scored the touchdown, but that was sort of like everybody lost account of him on that play, and he sort of jogged into the end zone. Still didn't even look bursty getting in the end zone on that one. It's and the running game, it's Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. It's pretty much Hollywood Brown is going to get 10 targets again. He had 16 last week. He caught 10 of them. He had one big downfield look, and Hollywood Brown was in the slot like 50% of the time. So yeah, I'd go Hollywood Brown over Tyreek Hill. In reference to your start sits though, I think I would go Teteroa McMillan over him. McMillan, usage-wise, had everything you wanted to see. Carolina just completely dropped the ball and was awful. But Teteroa McMillan was like the target share. Everything was there. He looks the part. The vibes are better. I would go with him. And I think if you want to go Pickens, it's a similar bet. Miami, New England, let's put it like this. Vegas passed for 360 yards against New England. So it's not like New England has some world beater defense. If you want to roll the dice with Tyreek, I don't think it's the worst decision. I think him and Pickens would be pretty close to one another. Travis Etienne, though, hey man, you might want to just ride the hot hand with Etienne. Yeah, no I think it's Teteroa McMillan or Travis Etienne, but I would say the Etienne one is probably your safest floor bet of all the players you mentioned, because that Cincinnati-Jacksonville game might fly over. I know Cincinnati last week had the 17-16 game. It was sort of a much lower scoring game than we really anticipated.
Cleveland's got a good defense.
They do. And Cleveland, I think, should have won that game. I think Cleveland, have to give some props to Cleveland for their approach to that game. Don't have to give them props for their kicker selection. Right. A bunch of Browns fans were like, why couldn't we have just signed a number of these street free agent kickers that have had success in the NFL? They're frustrated with that one. And now they have Baltimore. So it's sort of almost a double loss coming for them. But when you look at Jacksonville, the vibes are great. They just got rid of Tank Bigsby. I know Bashal Tutin is sort of looming behind Travis Etienne, but it's really hard to bench Etienne. Etienne's going to get targets out of the backfield. Etienne ran very effectively. And I think Jacksonville kind of gets it offensively with Liam Cohen. So I don't think you're in huge trouble. I think it's sort of your risk threshold. If I'm looking for a very safe option, I roll with Etienne this week, coming off of a very strong game. I'd probably lean Teteroa McMillan over Hill. But if you want to just, go for it and play Tyreek Hill, it's a kind of an all or nothing game, it feels like, with Miami, where Miami was so bad against Indianapolis. They turned the ball over inside the 50-yard line multiple times. They were decent on third down conversions, which is like something we want to look at for some of these offenses. They were decent on third down conversions, but, I mean, everything looked awful. You can't trust anybody in Miami. I do think once in a while these things can turn, and that game could be a lot more competitive than maybe some people are anticipating. Like, the betting markets are not completely annihilating Miami, so I probably still lean Etienne in your flex decision, though.
Okay, so, yeah, I mean, just thinking it through here, I mean, is Tyreek, is it time to explore trade options and sell really early and just say, look, if I can get something that I can consider to start each round. I mean, I drafted him in the third round, so I mean, this was a guy that I drafted pretty damn high, and so I'm just wondering, is it
time to sell?
Yeah, is it time to sell, or where are you at with the Tyreek Hill? What do you do in that situation? Do you ride out, wait for him to get traded, or what? Where are you at with it?
Well, I just had Dynasty Life today. I recorded with Heath Cummings of CBS, who's a really good analyst. We talked about the concept of selling low and the concept of buying high. But like you hear all these people in fantasy football who it's a million paint by numbers sort of articles where in Dynasty especially where everybody's going to tell you to buy low on this guy, sell high on this guy. But I think a lot of times buying players when they seem high, there might be a little bit of room to run in that profile. Right. And then it's the same token, especially in Dynasty. In Dynasty, when we say sell low, Dynasty is one of the only things like where a guy can literally go from being valued as a second round Dynasty rookie pick, and then 6 weeks later, he's worth 0. No one wants him. He's a roster clogger. It's the NFL. These things happen rapidly. So, yeah, I think if you want to get out from under Tyreek Hill, there's plenty of wide receivers that are enticing, that have better vibes, and their team situation is better. You can also get people to pay you for the name brand equity of Tyreek Hill in a lot of leagues. Now, I don't know your league. I don't know your league mates. There's probably a manager out there that has the, hey, he'll play better for me. I can fix him if he's on my roster.
Oh, yeah.
I'll take the shot. I'd look at Ricky Pearsall, who went several rounds later, and Ricky Pearsall now with George Kittle out is going to have like 5 weeks where even if it's Mac Jones, like I still think that Ricky Pearsall is a really enticing one with his explosiveness. We saw him with 7 targets last week. We sort of believe in San Francisco. I know that feels sort of like an uncomfortable one to sort of move Tyreek for a Pearsall, but I think you get Pearsall and something else for Tyreek in a lot of leagues.
Okay, that's an
looking at players like that. Yeah, like interesting younger players where you feel like the vibes are better surrounding them. I wouldn't mind making that switch. I think it's also worth your while. If you want to go kind of hard and heavy at it, I would look at the rest of your team and say, can I make a really, really aggressive 2-for-1 offer?
Consolidate,
where I'm
baby.
Yeah, consolidate and try to move Tyreek Hill and something else and see if you can't turn that into a player who was drafted similarly to him. You mentioned the 3rd round. I'd imagine you took him right around or right after or right before Garrett Wilson, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. So maybe somebody in your league views Tyreek in the same sense, and you send Tyreek with another player that would be a starter for someone, and you tier up and get yourself a JSN or Garrett Wilson. That trade offer doesn't really exist in a lot of leagues, but I would be comfortable doing that. But I think more likely than not, it's you take the haircut if you trade Tyreek and you move him for someone with just better positive vibes who was drafted after him. I think Zay Flowers is interesting after last week. They had no tight end targets whatsoever in Baltimore. A ton of targets for Zay, and Zay looked awesome. So it's players like that I think you're looking at, or consolidate and trade up. The way you get burned on this one, I think, is if Tyreek gets traded to a really good situation. You're going to be very angry you made this deal. If like Tyreek Hill is, you bring up Pittsburgh, and I know every time a guy is up for a trade, the Pittsburgh media, I think, is like, we're getting them. Every
Doesn't
single
he go
player.
back to Kansas City, Theo? Isn't
That's
that where
the
he
one.
ends up?
That's the one.
Especially
Kansas
if
City.
he pays off his ex-wife. Hey, Theo.
Which one?
Which one?
Hey, Theo.
Wait. Hold on.
Yeah.
One quick question. Tyreek Hill or Keenan Allen?
Oh, man. I probably Keenan Allen just because of
Yes.
the target competition with Lad McConkey. Keenan's fun, though. Keenan was way mispriced. Keenan, I think, is going to be a wide receiver 3.
He looked great.
I think that, like he's a strong wide receiver 3. He's a strong flex play. Justin Herbert loves him. Lad McConkey is such a talented player, but I think Keenan Allen sort of caps his ceiling. I know Lad could have scored the touchdown last week, but Lad McConkey going absolutely nuts in the target department, I think that's going to be difficult with Keenan Allen healthy. Keenan Allen could also break down, and it could still be Lad McConkey being the league winner down the stretch. But as long as Keenan Allen's healthy, Keenan Allen is going to be a player that I think we want to find reasons to get him in our lineup. And LA, that was a team where I liked what I saw from Omarion Hampton on a usage standpoint. Disappointing in terms of the production, but he looks the part of like a big athletic running back should look. He only had 2 catches, though. 2 catches for Omarion Hampton. And what was interesting is last year and pretty much throughout the Greg Roman era, we've seen tight ends have a ton of usage. And we saw it last year where there was like that random month of the year where Will Dissly had like, oh my gosh, Will Dissly usage. They had none of the sort. It was all wide receiver targets in LA, super consolidated targets to Keenan Allen, Ladd McConkey, and Quentin Johnston, and Herbert benefited from it. There's a lot of really good vibes with this LA Chargers offense for sure right now. I'm actually really excited for that Monday Night Football game. We hope Brock Bowers plays, but even if he doesn't, you've got such positive vibes with LA, and you had really some impressive Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll vibes, them going in and just controlling the game in New England, and Geno passing for 360 yards.
So somewhere J.J. Zacharyson is just smiling. Late round quarterback this year was the play. And Herbert, Justin Fields,
Caleb,
J.J. McCarthy, the white Jaden Daniels.
I'll say J.J. McCarthy, reminded me a little bit of Bo Nix last year, where Bo Nix was so slow out the gate. Like that first game, it was very, like there was a lot of low passing volume numbers where Bo Nix had like a really low yardage total, but he showed you the mobility as a runner. JJ, he's got that it where the teams believe they can win games with him. You saw it at Michigan. And it was the 2 touchdown passes. And then we talked about that where you didn't really see the rushing opportunities for him at Michigan, but that was sort of an opportunistic rush attempt where I think it's O'Connell and Minnesota sort of like, hey, if you don't see anything, use that 4.5 speed. So it reminded me a little bit of Bo Nix, and I think a lot of people were so quick to bury J.J. McCarthy. Like there was all these people on X just talking all this trash, and then fourth quarter comes out and he was dynamite. So you wonder if that's going to carry on. Justin Fields is the one you said, though. Justin Fields, Tanner Engstrand, if John Morton fails, Detroit should just offer Tanner Engstrand his old job back, but as OC.
Who wins in a game right now? Jets versus Bears. Because the Jets look pretty good. That offense.
The Jets
for the first time in 5 or 10 years.
Yeah, and I live on Long Island, so there's a ton of Jets fans around me. My one son has a Sauce Gardner jersey. The other son has a Garrett Wilson jersey. So I'm not a Jets fan, but I want the Jets to win. It's like a local thing. And for me, like that offense, Aaron Glenn, Tanner Engstrand, they were playing inspired football, and that guy gets it. They were so consolidated. Garrett Wilson had 9 out of the 21 targets. Yep. Justin Fields, though, like all the RPOs, everything is set up for him to have a top 6, top 7 scoring season. He's going to rush for a ton of yards. And Brees looked fantastic. And
contract year, it is a magical thing.
Someone's paying him big money. And Braylon Allen looked good on that 1 touchdown run. It's clearly Brees Hall with the volume, but Braylon Allen does look the part of like a secondary back. That's a really big game this week where Buffalo, New York, sometimes the game flow isn't great for fantasy. It could be a good one this week. The weather is good, and I think the Jets have a lot of confidence offensively. Buffalo's coming off like an emotional comeback win, and Buffalo looked fantastic offensively, as they often do. So this could be a fantasy-friendly game. I'm looking for Keon Coleman, seeing if he can keep that up. I think that could be a breakout opportunity. But, yeah, those Jets are fun. Herbert we talked about. Justin Fields we talked about. I still think that it'll be interesting by the end of the year because, again, Jaden Daniels, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts. There's still a lot of like, hey, those early round QBs are going to put up numbers too. But will the win rates be close enough where a Justin Herbert or a Fields or Jones
in Indiana? Who knows?
Hey, Daniel Jones. I'll say I said this on a couple pods this week, and I said it during the summer on a couple of pods. Daniel Jones is going to be this year's Sam Darnold, which doesn't sound great, but Darnold was a low, and it's been a trend, guys, where this is now 2 years in a row where we've had the reclamation project quarterback who nobody's excited about, who's drafted as a quarterback 3, ends up as a starter and finishes as a QB1. Okay. In 2023, it was Baker Mayfield, who was looked at as like this bridge quarterback after Tom Brady. Let's give Baker the job for like a year, and then let's go draft somebody. There was people who thought Kyle Trask could have been the guy. And then Baker finishes as like the QB10, QB11. Last year, Sam Darnold. This year, it could be Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones gives you that Konami code.
Before,
Jared Goff, I was going to say,
and Jared Goff, absolutely. That's a great call, guys. Goff, was he drafted? I don't know. I don't remember like exact. He might have been snuck in as a QB2, but it's semantics. He was still lowly drafted.
Yeah, 22.
And then
in 22, he was 10, quarterback 10.
Yeah, he was quarterback 10. And I don't know if he was sort of as left for dead as those other guys. You can also talk about Geno Smith, his year in Seattle, where he finishes top 6. So a lot of times the markets buries guys based on where they were and not where they're at. And Daniel Jones has the best offensive line play he's ever played with. He's got Jonathan Taylor as a running back who puts pressure on every single defense. DJ Giddens, who's a very capable handcuff who should probably be in that, like, hey, this is the upside stash I want to keep on my bench. If Taylor misses time, I think Giddens could be like a 20-touch-a-game guy. And then all of the skill position players, all of the pass catchers on Indianapolis were all day 2 selections, or Tyler Warren, who looks like the next great tight end for fantasy football. So, like, you've got all these wide receivers. You mentioned Michael Pittman. Michael Pittman is back healthy, plus Adonai Mitchell, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, and now add Tyler Warren. Daniel Jones is in a position to succeed, gets the win right out the gate, and they destroyed him. This is the week. They have Denver, who might have the best defense in the NFL. If Indianapolis gets this one, I believe they go on the road to Tennessee in week 3. I believe that they play the LA Rams, I want to say, on the road, but that's probably a tough game for them. But then they get Vegas coming into Indianapolis early in the season. Daniel Jones might be like 4-1. Wow. He could be like 5-2 in the first half of the season. So, yeah, Daniel Jones could be the guy, and he was literally free in drafts.
Are you leaving him on your waiver wire right now?
I have, for my leagues, I actually got like 3 hours worth of waivers in today. I have a little more after the show. Mine all close out at 10 p.m. Eastern time. So I do have some Daniel Jones bids in there. Geno Smith, some bids for him. Some Daniel Jones. I'm making a couple of booty calls. I got some Kayshawn Booty ones. Jawan Johnson I bid for. Yeah, Booty's a fun one because Booty's 23 years old. Yeah, and he's 23 years old, and I love the confidence from him. Yeah, listen, the Debbie guys don't always get it right.
Yeah, the
Debbie guys sometimes get a lot of things wrong, but the Debbie guys were on this guy in like 2020.
Yes, sir.
And it's an LSU wide receiver. And I love the quotes from Kayshawn Booty this week where, people are asking him about his success in game 1 down the stretch. And he sort of looks at him like, I'm that guy. I was a first-round pick. And people don't understand that quote, but he was supposed to be a first-round pick out of LSU. Everything fell apart for him. He ends up a 6th-round pick. It seems like a player that has confidence in himself. So, Kayshawn Booty, everything's sort of bouncing back for him. There's some interesting players. And, of course, there's other leagues where, maybe your league's a lot more shallow. You're having access to some other players. But for me, in a lot of these deeper formats, I'm sort of bidding after those guys. I won a Harold Fannin bid in one league. That was a Tuesday night waiver league.
You happy about that? Because I stole him in a couple leagues too.
Oh, I would love to have 100% access to Harold Fannin Jr. I mean, that guy looks awesome.
Really
looks
does.
incredible.
He's always open.
Must be in the blood.
The MAC sometimes produces these guys. We saw it with Antonio Brown. We saw it with Antonio Gates, and it's we don't always get it, but I think sometimes these MAC players, there's like a stigma to them, and the NFL doesn't always fully embrace them. So it's a little bit like a Moneyball approach where Harold Fannin was a little slower than some teams wanted to see.
A little smaller.
People were like, yeah, he was a little slower in the 40 than you wanted to see for his weight.
Sure.
But he wasn't like, he's not like a 4.8 guy, but he was a little slower than you wanted to see. And people questioned the production, even though he did it against Texas A&M, did it against Penn State. They questioned the production because a lot of it was against smaller college competition. And then he goes in the 3rd round instead of the 2nd round. I always thought it was interesting that it was Cleveland who drafted him, where they had access, where they're, maybe 2 hours away from Bowling Green. And it's sort of a familiarity with the prospect. And they didn't add any wide receivers. The drum beats for Harold Fannin throughout the summer were really, really good. I remember posting it on X saying, like, look what these beat reporters are saying. They're fast-tracking him. But when it came down to it, I didn't draft nearly enough. So I have Harold Fannin exposure in Dynasty and Redraft. I wish it was a ton more. We don't know which way this is going to go, but I think there's a chance that he's really, really good this year. And I think if you have an opportunity to get him in your league, absolutely add some Harold Fannin. And they don't have any wide receivers. So if Jerry Jeudy goes down, if Cedric Tillman goes down, Fannin to the moon. If David Njoku gets traded, Fannin to the moon. And also, Fannin just had a 20% target share right out the gate. And he's 21 years old, too. He's a young tight end. Very young, and they're using him like this.
Yeah, and his dad played in the league. I think that's so important when you're weighing prospects. One final question, because I promised I wouldn't keep you more than 40 minutes. We absolutely love having you on, Theo. All kinds of great info. Dante Kelsey in the chat was offered O'Marion Hampton and Achane for Jahmyr Gibbs. No, that's difficult for a Lions fan to come off of. Are you accepting that deal?
It would depend on my RB2 situation, my flex situation. I think at the end of the day, I'd probably, in most redraft leagues, would want to just stick with Gibbs, who I think could completely break fantasy. It hurts me to say that because I'm a huge Hampton guy and a huge Devon Achane guy, but I think it could be a situation where you end up with a 15-point per game scorer and let's say a 14.5 point per game scorer and like a 16.5 point per game scorer, and then you give up the 23 point per game scorer. That's not always the move to make in redraft. But again, I wish I knew your RB2 situation, your flex situation. There's situations where that trade is a good one for you to make. I wish I had more information. I hate to be that guy, but I don't know the rest of your roster for that one. I usually am pretty good on these trade questions, but for a 2-for-1, I got to know the rest of the roster.
Don't worry. He's from Detroit. He's not making that trade.
There you go. Yeah, we love Jahmyr Gibbs. We're not giving up. Got 10 catches last week.
It's so early, man. It's so early.
Yeah, exactly. The 10 catch, the catch for is and the explosion. I mean, obviously, I'm expecting a huge bounce back here.
I don't know if you know this, but our guy Brendan dropped us a stat. Can you repeat that for him?
Yeah, Jahmyr Gibbs actually had a record-breaking performance this last week. Recorded the lowest amount of yards on 10 receptions ever in the NFL.
That's
yeah,
insane.
I saw that.
Hey, Theo, have you been to a game at Ford Field?
Terrible luck. No, I've never been to Ford Field. We almost went to a Michigan game a couple years ago. I had an opportunity to go to a Michigan game, but I've never been to Ford Field. I'd like to. I've been outside of Ford Field. We came up to, your guys' neck of the woods for the NFL draft before, but not at a game there. I would love to attend a game at Ford Field.
What did you think of our city and the 700,000 people that came for the draft?
Oh my gosh. I mean, the Lions fans were awesome, and the enthusiasm level, and I think it's sort of like the NFL couldn't have timed it better where, Detroit had this Super Bowl aspirations. They thought of themselves as a true contender, and they hosted a draft. It was just like the energy, the excitement, and Michigan's a beautiful state. We stayed over. I forgot where exactly we were, but this is when I was with Player Profiler. Gosh, I wish I could remember the exact name of the town. I think we were in Pinckney for a few days on the lake, where it was a beautiful lake. We were up there and we had sort of a retreat, and then there was also guys going to the draft back and forth. But the Michigan was a beautiful state, and I'm sure it still is a beautiful state. But it was a beautiful state to visit, and it was also like the fans were like a very knowledgeable fan base and a very enthusiastic fan base. I've been to sort of multiple NFL drafts, and I'll say that the vibe in Detroit, you couldn't really beat it. It was unbelievably cool. It was awesome. It was just
unbelievable. Our city really came together. Glad you felt safe. Glad you enjoyed yourself. Brandon and I pulled some Cougars from Pinckney about 15 years ago, back in the day, to Ortonville. And funny you threw that city out, but hey, man, we really can't get enough of you and Fantasy Points. We appreciate you and all of your insight. Looking forward to getting you back. And I think you're right. I think the Lions will be all right this weekend.
Yeah, next time I'm on with you, I hope that we're coming off of a Lions win.
Me too.
I want to see this room perk up a little bit with the Lions enthusiasm.
Oh yeah, we need this city to perk up, my friend. But
any shameless plugs this week, Theo?
No, I don't want to take away your promo code because I have a promo code. But make sure you check out Dynasty Life, my Dynasty podcast, Fantasy Football Daily. I'm dropping multiple episodes a week in season, a waiver wire show, a start sit show. Those are both really, really fun. I do one show with guests every week, and then I do my big takeaways. Those are every single Monday morning. It drops as a pod and on Fantasy Points YouTube. Plug Fantasy Points YouTube It's the fastest growing YouTube channel of any fantasy site. We have been growing. I'm putting up multiple videos a week there. You can read my sleepers and deep league waivers. I cover a lot of the high stakes guys in that one. I also write the Dynasty Market Report, which drops at the end of the week. And then School of Scott with Scott Barrett, my other podcast. I do that with Scott. That's a really, really good one. We just dropped an episode. So, yeah, I really appreciate coming on with you guys, and appreciate you giving me a chance to plug my stuff.
Of course. FantasyPoints.com lead fantasy analyst, Theo Garminger. We appreciate you so much, my friend.
Great job as always.
Have a good night,
Theo.
guys.
Thank you.
Take care, fellas. We'll talk soon.
All right, guys. We kept him for a little more than the 40 minutes. I promised we wouldn't keep him over.
It's hard not to.
He's too very difficult. He's fantastic. FantasyPoints.com is fantastic. When you head on over there, put in the code word Woodward to save yourself 10% off the best fantasy analytics site in the damn game. Brandon can attest to that. Let's get back to these teams. Let's get through all 32. We left off at Houston. We just talked about Indy. I got to be honest with you. I don't think that we need to cover it, considering what he just went into. DJ Giddens, a backup guy that probably is somebody you should be looking at to
maybe a down
week 8, week 12, certainly. Ty Warren, we hope that you draft him because we told you to. Michael Pittman, we hope that you drafted him because we told you to. And Theo, he said to look at your waiver wire. Danny Indiana Jones might actually be a piece for your squad. Moving on to Jacksonville, a team that every year somebody at Woodward Sports tells me is going to be in the playoff, Chris.
Yep, every year.
Every damn year.
Like clockwork.
And have they? I don't think in the existence of Woodward Sports.
I'm checking
they
now.
have
I
been in
don't
there.
see them in the playoffs.
Maybe once.
Not when they beat the Chargers?
Has
Yeah.
T-Law been in the playoffs?
When they came back on the Chargers?
His rookie year, right?
Yep.
Okay, so it's been a minute. But here's a team. You got BTJ, who everybody's excited about.
He's going to be fine.
Should be, but there's another guy over there who's taking targets from him in the name of Travis Hunter. Your brother, Eric Platty, shout out to the Real Swim Shady. We thought that he really got one over on us because we have defensive individual players, and he picked Travis Hunter, who he got to put in as his defensive back. But he didn't accomplish a whole lot. The biggest takeaway from that game for me is don't trust T-Law. I don't want Travis Hunter unless I have him as a D-back. Now you can actually count on ETN. And you got to hope and pray that BTJ is the same guy he was last year.
Got to love those contract year running backs. I told you to smash them.
You did.
Take them.
I had a guy take him in the second round of our league, and then he sat him.
He sat him?
He sat him first week.
I was about to say, you've been cooking this guy. I was about to bring him up. If he's listening to the show, he was ready to do a victory lap.
Oh, yeah, and he sat him. How do you take a guy in the second round and sit him? Even if it's a mistake.
Right.
Yeah, you can't.
I think he could be a league winner this year. I think what you saw Liam Cohen do for Bucky Irving could be exactly what he does
your
for
coaches.
ETN here. I'm really big on coaches and play callers. I think football, that's just the epitome of the game.
Scheme dictates so
if
much.
you get in the right scheme and
no Bigby.
no biggie,
That's
why
huge.
I'm saying he could be a league winner because we saw what he did. Over 100 yards rushing, still got 3 receptions on all of his targets, caught all of them. Like, this guy has the talent.
With no touchdowns. And I want to bring a point to somebody who I'm pretty high on, and I'm going to hit it again. So I think the direct backup to ETN is most likely LaQuint Allen.
Yeah.
Because it looks like that there's going to be a standalone role for Bashal. Maybe Bashal's not ready for prime time, but it looks like LaQuint is.
He seems like the Justice Hill of that team, the Keaton Mitchell of that team. He's never going to get 20 carries.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's going to be a guy that's good in small doses.
LaQuint Allen, a guy that I missed out on in my super-duper deep league. He was just sitting there this morning. Somebody snapped him up. On to Kansas City. I got Hollywood Brown shares everywhere, gentlemen. I hope that you do too. We talked about him last week. You got a stopgap of 6 weeks while you're waiting for the man, Rashee Rice, to get back there. I still don't believe in Xavier Worthy, but, well, now there's no Xavier Worthy for 4 weeks.
What did I write on my paper last week when we were doing the pre-show, guys, about Kansas City? Brendan, do you remember that?
Oh, that they are not going to make the playoffs this year? which I think
I'm
is
standing
blasphemy.
by that.
You're on the
But
business, huh?
this is just a welcome to week 2 of fantasy football, where we are talking about Hollywood Brown starting over Tyreek Hill.
Brendan,
I'm sorry, I'm breezing
throwing
past that
business
right
down,
now.
standing on business.
Hollywood. Let's hear this again. Hollywood Brown is the number 1 wide receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, well,
Do you think the Kansas City Chiefs are going to make the playoffs?
Yes.
Yeah, I do, absolutely. Because every year for the last all of
time.
you see Spider-Man dropping
know.
down there.
I see that.
Every year, whether it's week 6 or week 12.
Even Brady missed the playoffs every once in a while. It happens.
Well,
It's cyclical.
it does.
The teams
But
have
they
to
also
refresh.
said that he was cooked. They said that Mahomes is cooked. And my
I
thing
don't think
is
Mahomes is
they have
cooked
a
at all. I think the team is going to need a year of a
Rashee
rebuild.
Rice is coming back, too.
They've got to win
Okay.
some games in those
All
first
right.
6, though. But if they can go 3-3,
Chiefs we're talking about. What was the
you
record
get
last year, by the way?
Worthy back healthy. You get Rasheed in week 7, and now all of a sudden you have 3 1A, 1B, 1C because Xavier Worthy got exposed to that work last year. Marquise Hollywood Brown was signed to maybe
And
be
is
the
it
one.
too late in one of the toughest divisions in football? I mean,
It's
that's
possible.
my bottom line.
Well, I
Dude,
think the Chargers'
look
emergence is-
fan-freaking-tastic.
yeah.
The Broncos look like one of the best teams in the AFC, hands down. That defense
So
is stacked. That
let's
running
talk
game.
about Kansas City though, because
Okay.
again, I could debate this all night, and I do think that you're right. That San Diego is a real presence in that
They
division
needed to push
now.
the damn ball to
Even
Pacheco.
Vegas
What were they
is.
doing?
Well, that's my question. Is anybody trustable on the offense for Kansas
How is
City?
Juwan Taylor
outs-
still your starting tackle?
That's
Get
the
him
question.
out of there.
So
my
but what
God,
I'm asking you
anybody.
though,
false start.
outside of Hollywood Brown, are you trusting anybody in your starting lineup this week named Kelsey or Pacheco?
I don't know. Is it time to pick up Nick Remigi or whatever?
Who?
Exactly. Like, who is going to catch the ball in Kansas City? That's my issue. They need to play Brashard Smith. I'm surprised we didn't see him on any routes.
Could
I don't
happen.
know what's going on there.
Could happen
In the
soon.
preseason, they were running him on wheel option routes, and he looked great. I don't know what they're doing. Maybe they're not game planning him in there. They had him in on kick returns. But Andy Reid's got to do something, or that team is going to be in big trouble, and it's going to be too late no matter who comes back.
Eric Platty in the chat drafted Travis Hunter just to play him as a DB that gets wide receiver points. A very clever move, and I think even though it didn't pay off in week 1, it will down the line. Moving on from Kansas City.
Shout out.
Just so you know, I'm not trusting Kelsey. I'm not trusting Pacheco. I'm very worried about him. I'd like to move him. The Chargers, team that we just mentioned. 3 wide receivers that I'm not really sure about. Quentin Johnston.
I got Johnson on waivers in the Jerks League.
A lot of people got Quentin Johnston in
Fluke.
waivers today. My question is can you start him? Can you start Keenan Allen, who came in next to no cost? And where are you with Ladd McConkey now? Because after week 1, I have so many questions about this wide receiver room. Now, I wouldn't mind to own any one of the 3, but in terms of who I'm starting, is there a hierarchy out of these 3 wide receivers that you would start?
Okay, so this is what I think it looks like from when the players were targeted, and then at the times when they were targeted during important times in the game. Keenan looks like the chain mover. Mm-hmm. Quentin looks like a legitimate downfield threat.
He caught the ball.
evolving.
He caught the ball.
Yeah, he actually
No,
did catch it.
when
okay,
he
so
catches the ball.
year 3, and
Brennan.
he
Whenever he catches
showed it in spurts throughout his
Yeah,
first 2
certainly.
seasons. Maybe he puts it together this year. All I'm saying is Keenan being there is good for Quentin Johnson. Ladd McConkey being put into a role where he's going to be better for the team, not maybe not necessarily
Not
a better
better for your
fantasy
fantasy
asset,
team, yeah.
but better for real football reasons. Ladd McConkey is better as a limited. Last year they didn't have any choice. They
Well,
had to run.
Let's crush the rest of these teams here. Los Angeles Rams. Puka looked completely trustable.
Top 4 team in the NFC.
Kyron looked completely trustable to me as well. There's nobody else there even worth talking about. No disappointments, no surprises. Las Vegas. I'm a little worried about Brock Bowers, not because of the injury, but because of the new offense, the new quarterback, and the commitment to using Michael Mayer. But still was pretty damn good in his first week.
We had a Trey Tucker sighting.
Mm-hmm.
Love his speed. Absolutely. Dante Thornton, emerging. Had some catches. That was good. He was on some routes. He's the number 4 there.
But you're not trusting anybody there beyond Jacoby Myers, right?
Jacoby Myers.
That's the number one wide
That's where it ends.
receiver.
That's where it ends.
Yeah,
then.
I think that's where it ends as well. On to Miami.
But do you know
And
who's a
let's
guy
just
that has a
cruise right past Miami,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Tyreek Hill, nobody's trusting him right now. You heard.
Waddle,
I
nothing.
love the buy high, sell low strategy because so many of us are so committed to squeezing every ounce of juice out of that fruit that sometimes you got to cut bait before you can't cut anymore.
Milking the
That's
dry
all Tom,
teat.
Phil.
The dry tea, mother's milk.
Speaking of real quickly, just to go back to Las Vegas, how did we not name the number one guy on all Las Vegas draft boards, and that was Genty?
Well, Genty was no surprise. I think that that's a guy that you're going to keep in your lineup. I think that the usage for him in week one, historically, guys that are supposed to be the bell cow in their rookie year don't have a good first game. He got in the end zone.
They
He got
sold
his
out.
usage.
They sold out to stop Jenny. They safety was in the box the whole game.
Yeah. I think Jenny is a plug and play for the rest of at least the next 6, 7, 8
Gino
years.
made him
what
pay,
back
and some
for
other
you?
teams are going
What's
to have.
Top what back in the league for you,
5.
fantasy wise?
Well, I'd be taking him over McCaffrey at this point.
Oh yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
and
Caffrey's
God,
now,
he looks washed, doesn't
now
he?
I'm lamenting taking Gibbs over him at 3. So we'll see how that turns out in a month from now. I think
McCaffrey looks freaking washed, and
Yeah.
I mean, we didn't hit the panic meter in San Francisco. We'll go there.
Yeah, I think Jahmyr Gibbs will be just fine, but we will.
Thanks
get
for
to
bringing
San
us back to
Francisco.
Genty. Still super high on him. That touch ratio was
No doubt.
fantastic.
Minnesota, we touched on just shortly here.
Thielen looked like shit.
Well, I'm not worried about Thielen. I'm talking about guys that are going to be in your lineup. I think J.J. McCarthy is the absolute real deal. If he's sitting on your waiver wire, you have to go get him. Justin Jefferson is quarterback proof.
Yep.
We've seen that. Whether, whoever it was, Nick Mullins, doesn't matter. The guy is the number one wide receiver. My question is in the backfield because Aaron Jones, he didn't do much. That fourth quarter, all of a sudden, he's putting you up a 17-20 spot. But it was Jordan Mason that stole the show. And my question, after seeing him run as well as he did and watching him turn the tables of that game towards the end of the third and fourth quarter, are we seeing the end of Aaron Jones in Minnesota?
No, what we're seeing is exactly what we talked about last week on episode 3, is that Kevin McConnell is going to try to do his best. Ben Johnson, he wants to have thunder and lightning in that backfield, and you saw what happened. The floodgates open when Mason got out there and started dropping shoulder pads on players, and the game flow completely changed. He's a big back that delivers hits. It changes the game.
I think he could be the RB1 there, but Aaron Jones could be the wide receiver 3 there, at least until Jordan Addison gets back. You saw how they use him in the receiving game, throwing downfield passes, little dump-off passes.
You need to preserve the guy at that age.
Are you
for his pressure situations, which are out, and his strengths was just out of the backfield.
To his point, though, because Jordan Mason is not getting that work, I can't start him yet. I can still start Aaron Jones as we move on to
Maybe bye-week flex.
Yeah, New England. Interesting thing
Booty
there.
call.
I think Drake May will be better. He's somebody that I just don't buy the hype on. I still think he's a very good quarterback, but Keyshawn Boutte showed at the end of last season that he's his number one target.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see that connection continue into this season.
Me too.
Hunter Henry, we told you to do it. They did it. I think that New England they should get right here. I think that that was a tough game one.
And Theo touched on this too. This could be the Travion Henderson breakout week right here. So
That's
if you
right where
need
I
to
was
buy
going
low
next,
on
brother.
him, go ahead, take us away.
No, keep going, man.
If you need to buy low on him, do what you need to do because this guy's talent. Like I said, I mean, you want to look at backfields where you can get a lot of work with a guy with talent, and this guy's talent is off the charts. People are comparing him. I don't even want to say the word, but the running back around our town, I don't think he's there yet, but he could be soon, folks.
Yeah, and he can dominate in all three facets of the game. Pass
How
protection.
long are they going to just wheel out the husk of Ramondre Stevenson
Well, I
out
think
there? He was never an explosive back, and now he's just a plotter. It's like, get Antonio Gibson in there. Anybody but him.
Yeah.
It's Travion
They're,
time. I
they're
completely
just
agree.
saving the rookie some pain at this point. They're easing him in. But I do love that because I got into another long debate with my co-owner in my one league, and I had to talk him into – it was a battle, but I was able to talk him into starting Aaron Jones over Travion. And I said, by week 3, that might be the difference. It's probably going to be different. This week, I don't know.
Yeah.
And
We talked about it last week. It's hard to start
it's
him
a
in week 1.
safe floor with Aaron Jones, but man, Brendan, you're right. That ceiling with Travion is so damn sexy. On to the New York Jets, who looked inspired. You heard Theo mention that he thinks that Justin Fields is on for a top 6 finish. Definitely, in my eyes, a top 10 finish. When you put in those yards with the legs to quarterbacks, you really got something.
Jeremy Ruckert. Okay, so Mason Taylor's hurt. More to follow on that, but I think Jeremy Ruckert was actually targeted more than Mason Taylor there. Third-year tight end. Recently drafted pretty high by the organization. Could see an emergence there, and maybe the Justin Field target too out of there.
Who is the target two there? There's no
Brees
one.
Hall.
Yeah, there's nobody else worthwhile in terms of the passing game.
Maybe it's Ruckert.
Could happen at some point. Braylon Allen should be on your roster because you're seeing the usage that Brees Allen's getting. He still got in the end zone, Braylon did.
Yeah.
And at some point, if Brees Hall goes down, you might have a league winner on your hands if you have Braylon Allen on
Man,
your
is
bench.
that guy a big dude.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Might still be the youngest guy in the league. I don't think so, but he was the
Sampson.
youngest to ever score a
It's
touchdown.
Sampson.
It is.
Sampson's
Okay,
20.
Dylan Sampson. Moving on to the other team in New York, those New York Football Giants. They aren't giant in much outside of Malik Neighbors. I think he'll be okay. That's why Russ went there, because he loved that kid. He wanted to throw him the ball. I think he'll be safe with him or Jackson Dart.
You mean Sierra wanted to go there because of New York?
Oh, well, that would probably make a lot more sense.
Yeah, so Mr. Unlimited was very limited. That there is no amount of praying that is going to bring back that capability. He looked washed. He is dumping off. He looks scared.
Are you
He
trading
didn't
Neighbors
turn off-
because of it?
All I'm saying is the Jackson Dart is going to be they're not going to be able to hold him off, and I know they wanted to delay it, but I just think that Mormon Matt Stafford looked unstoppable
I
in
think
the
they're waiting
preseason,
for
and
the
I know
offensive
it's
line to get
preseason,
healthy.
but I think that he's right with Zeno, and like those guys are gonna. I think that Jackson Dart's gonna get in there, and man, he throws it downfield, and that team has some downfield weapons.
Well, listen, when Jackson Dart is in there, Malik Neighbors will be in your lineup. This week, I don't know, man. There's going to be some teams sitting him in
you
that.
drafted.
That's
What are you
pretty
gonna
wild.
do?
See, this is the case, though, where the worst case could be the best case. Give me Jameis. Jameis is the best quarterback for fantasy production.
Yes, he
You can
does
throw
like
any
slinging
wide
that
receiver.
rock.
I could be out there with Jameis slinging me the rock, and I promise you I'll give you a top 24 week.
He can
Give
wing
me
it.
this guy. And
I
Malik
love
Top
Neighbors
30
will win this
maybe.
league.
Top
Top 30.
30
I'll
maybe.
take that.
All right, we got about 8 teams left. Let's finish them quick here. New Orleans looks like an absolute dumpster fire.
Well,
outside of the ageless wonder Alvin Kamara.
Yeah.
Well, what about the tight end?
Yeah,
Tight
Juwan
end
Johnson.
balls.
Oh.
Thank you. So
Fair, very fair, Chris.
Love me
Chris.
some Juwan Johnson, athlete, right size. When he's healthy,
Former Hooper.
former wide receiver, always open. Like
Yeah.
the guy's always open. Spencer seems to like him. The young quarterbacks are going to throw to their tight end. He a source of fantasy points. Kendrick Miller, positive. He looked
Yeah.
decent
Yep.
in the limited touches. So I
At some
sold
point
him
he
in
gets
Dynasty.
the rock
but
in like 2029 or something.
yeah, Sip finally got him from me. I had to cut him, so congratulations, Sip.
Where are you at with Chris Olave?
Well, so the way that Spencer Rattler plays and throws the ball underneath the safeties, it scares the
yeah,
it
I
scares
don't-
the shit out of me with
I don't want
Olave,
Olave.
because Olave is one hit away
Yeah.
from being retired.
Yeah.
He
That's
really
why
got
I
that hit
have-
this past week.
I have
know.
Olave
He got cracked.
and Shaheed on my team because Shaheed balled when Olave went down, and I'm like, if I could get any juice out of talk about a trade high, sell high candidate, if he has a good week 2
Oh,
or
yeah.
week 3, I'm selling off Olave immediately, and then I'm hoping
Hold
that
Rashid.
Rashid comes through. for
Chris, I
Shaheed?
feel bad. Chris, I feel bad for how many Saints and Dolphins players you have in your roster right now.
yikes.
Good luck, brother.
I have Tyreek, and I have those two in that league. But that's different. I got Tyreek in one league, and then
So
those two
not
in another
fun
league.
games to watch.
Yeah, but this is what happens is when Olave does go down, Shaheed will be a wide receiver 2 or 3 type.
No doubt. He was last year
And
during
from
that
where you
time,
got
too.
him, that's fantastic. He's a very talented player. He's going to be in the long-term plans of that team.
Yeah.
That's a team that's competing for the number 1 pick right now.
Well, one team that sat on top of the NFL last year was the Philadelphia Eagles. No surprise. Saquon's good. No surprise. Jalen Hurts is good.
Jalen Hurts looks really good.
He
Did
does
A.J.
look
Brown
really
play?
good. I'm not sure.
I heard
Did,
that
J.J.
J.J.
Did
Brown. I
Devontae
heard
Smith
that he
play?
did play. I didn't have a sighting.
I heard he got maybe like 3 chapters into his book on the sideline. He got a lot of reading done on that sideline.
Well,
Dallas Goedert, you brought that up, and I was like, Anson, I don't know about the Dallas Goddard Jalen Hurts connection is back.
Gooey Dirt, one of my favorite guys out of what is it?
South Dakota State.
South Dakota State. Yeah.
Is he a
They've-
jackrabbit?
They've turned some
Is that a
guys out of
jackrabbit?
there. One of those weird colored
National
multi-letter
champion. Yeah.
jerseys, but no, Goddard was used a lot towards the end of the season last year. That's why it gave me hope for him. He's a safety valve, and you're going to pick your poison. You're either going to defend them downfield and shut down Devontae and shut down A.J. Brown, or you're going to commit to shutting down the run game. The run game, well, that was working for Philly.
Are
really
you
well.
selling low on A.J. Brown or no?
No, I'm not. I think that, probably this week he has, 80 and a touch or more. And whether I'm selling him or not is the question, because I think that he may not be as consistent as we had seen him in the past.
My panic meter is not high on AJ at all right now, and I know a lot of people around the league are.
Yeah, I'm not
right now.
selling.
But my issue right now, and to back that up, flat out, Philadelphia wanted to take the air out of the ball against Dallas.
I agree.
Because they did not trust trust Dallas to beat them with the run game, and that was the plan. And the plan worked. They wanted to control the
Worked
ball.
real
They
well.
wanted to keep the ball out of the air, and they wanted to control time of possession, and it worked barely.
Yeah.
Dallas looks good.
Yeah, and Philly's going to have to air out the ball
Dallas
to
is a
win a
football
lot of
team.
games, for sure. So moving on to Pittsburgh, one ageless man, and it is time for dad mode. Chris, you got that dad mode graphic there?
I was having a tough time because we had a lot of old man performances, veteran performances in the league. But I tell you, the game that I kept coming to and that 1 o'clock slate for week 1 was that illustrious over Pittsburgh versus the New York Jets. And what a game. Both teams came to play. It was incredibly high scoring. It was fun to watch. Aaron Rodgers is my dad mode pick. Ayahuasca Aaron. This segment of dad mode is brought to you by Ben Johnson Law, fighting for you. And Manchego's Cheese Shop, fighting for cheese. Tom Brady, Brett Favre, Drew Brees, Warren Moon, all quarterbacks in their 40s that have finished as a quarterback 1.
Wow.
Right.
Deep cut.
2 of them did it 2 or more times.
Wow.
So, 40 or more, quarterback 1 seasons, Ayahuasca Aaron, could have happened again. I'll tell you, that's probably the best offensive line that he's played behind in several years. Probably his MVP, at least before his MVP year in Green Bay. Weapons, DK, Calvin Austin looks good. Jonnu, who loves Freiermuth. That defense, and they did, like Caleb Johnson didn't have to do anything. Aaron Rodgers is positioned to get that team fighting for a playoff spot. He threw for 4,000 yards last year with the gosh darn New York
He had
Jets.
4,000
Yes,
last year?
he did.
I did not know
And
that.
27 touchdowns. Wow. So Aaron Rodgers, you're my dad mode pick of it. I could see this guy sneaking in, somebody you can probably get on waiver wire right now.
Oh, he is. He's sitting there in all kinds of waiver wires. And
If you drafted Brock Purdy, maybe this is the guy you go to replace him.
Just like when we
you
all
don't have to
picked up
overpay
Warren
like the
Moon.
other guys get Danny Jones.
you weren't even alive, young
Just
man.
like when we all picked up Warren Moon, guys. You got to go get this guy. Just like that.
Just an incredible. Started in the CFL, USFL, right? Los
Listen,
Angeles
you
Rough
don't
Riders.
want to let Aaron Rodgers get confident and comfortable.
That's
And
right, and he looked
like
the
both.
part. And in the fourth quarter, what were they doing? Going down the field and scoring a touchdown when it frickin' mattered. And man, he looks rejuvenated. He looks healthy. He's moving. He's getting rid of the ball fast. Aaron Rodgers, right now, Mike Tomlin and the Pittsburgh Steelers look like geniuses. Aaron Rodgers, you're my dad mode pick. Congratulations, ayahuasca Aaron.
Shout out to Easy, our biggest Aaron Rodgers fan at Woodward Sports. Shout out to Jack's Car Wash as well. Moving on over to, Pittsburgh. I think Kelvin Austin is a pickup, right?
Yeah, and then Gainwell.
Is that the Donald Driver of that team?
Okay. I could see that.
I say you go out and buy Caleb Johnson right now.
I think so too.
Caleb Johnson could be a second half. I mean, he's probably on a lot of waiver wires, and if he wasn't, he will be after week 1 or 2's waiver wires. So keep an eye out for Caleb Johnson. Moving on to San Francisco, we talked about them. They got a lot of problems over there.
They got a lot of problems.
They got no Ayuk. They've got no Kittle now. They've got what looks to be the ghost of one Christian McCaffrey, and they've got an ailing
Jennings is hurt.
Brock Purdy.
And Jennings is hurt.
Juwan Jennings got hurt too.
Yeah, he's got a
Who the hell do you start on that team right now?
Pearsall.
Pearsall, huh?
Yeah,
that's it.
And you
you
have to start
Christian.
McCaffrey. But this is what I'm saying. At least in the meantime, maybe Kendrick Bourne. They signed Kendrick Bourne, and Purdy, when he does play, can distribute to his primary and secondary targets.
Yeah.
I could definitely see Bourne coming in and get him on your rosters, and then who knows what's going to happen, right? Pearsall hasn't been a pillar of health.
Yeah.
Right. Throughout his young career in both college and in the pros.
Hanging out in those San Francisco parks, getting shot and shit.
Tongas? I mean, I don't know. I mean, the guy's he does have one metric over 70th percentile is agility.
Okay.
So he looked good in the
end zone.
Yeah, he got in the end zone. And then even if Purdy doesn't play, Mac Jones has been shown to be able to sustain fantasy production, a la Brian.
So Pearsall and McCaffrey are about the only people that are
right
even
now.
worth
Startable.
Yeah, even worth mentioning. Seattle. Jackson Smith and Jigba, very safe guy to have in your lineup, in my opinion. The problem now, though, is all the people that drafted Kenneth Walker thinking that he would be a number 1 or number 2 running back for you. I traded him last year to start in my career dynasty league. I have Charbonnet. Mm-hmm. You saw Charbonnet get 50-50 work, look like the better back, got into the end zone. Are you trusting Kenneth Walker in your lineup this week?
I don't have a choice, but I'll tell you this: is week 1 off an injury, hardly playing in the preseason. Kenneth Walker's going to get right.
Okay.
Contract year, baby.
Get him in your lineup. I don't think there's anybody else worth mentioning in Seattle, but in Tampa Bay, there's a lot of intriguing situations. Obviously, Bucky Irving didn't start great in the game, ended up with a good line for fantasy teams.
Sure.
Mike Evans. Emeka Egbuka.
Is he the greatest all time? Is he just? I
Who,
mean,
Mike?
No, Emeka Egbuka. Like
he
was.
That was awful quick.
Overhyped person in the draft this year, and he just lived up to it. And you got to take your victory laps if you're an Egbuka owner. Everyone was saying, "Reach on this guy, reach on this guy." And if you did, congratulations, because I
didn't
did not
have
get
to
Egbuka.
reach in my dynasty draft. He fell to 12, and I was like, "Yes, please."
He went at 5 in mine, which is crazy.
I took Matthew Golden over Emeka Egbuka.
Oof.
How you feeling about that, Anson?
We'll see how I'm feeling about that after Chris Godwin returns.
After
Chris Godwin returns, I think that there'll be a lot of targets that you're going to have a hard time knowing where they're going. I think Egbuka
They're going to Egbuka and Evans.
Egbuka is a fantastic dynasty piece. I'm not trusting him in redraft yet. It's a big yet. I think that he's got the pedigree to be a fantastic player. Am I putting him in my starting lineup this week? I'm not.
I have to decide if I'm going to start him over DJ Moore, Anson. And I think I'm going to.
Easy answer.
Why?
Who would you start over him? Who are you starting over him in your lineup?
I mean, there's a lot of guys that I'd start Hollywood Brown over him. I'd start Keenan Allen over him. I'm serious. I mean, like, I think that
I'm going to get you a Hollywood Brown jersey, and you're going to wear it on the show.
If Egbuka doesn't get into the end zone, I don't know if he has the usage to qualify for a starting spot. You know, that's my issue. And he could have a Jahan Dotson type rookie year. Who knows? I think he's better than Jahan Dotson. I'm not making the comparison. I'm making the touchdown comparison. Moving on to our second to last
You mean
team
Jahan Dotson, the number 1 receiver on the Philadelphia Eagles?
after 1 week? This is true. Tennessee Titans and Cam Ward. What is the running back room going to look like in Week 8 there, Brandon?
It's week 8. I don't know. Spears is bone on bone. We've known that since his rookie year. I believe we're going to have some Khalil Mullings. This is a guy that's a buy low right now. If he's on your waiver
Former
wire,
Wolverine.
yeah. If he's on your waiver wire, pick him up. You know, as much as you want to like Julius Chestnut, he's Julius
He's
Chestnut.
never been good.
Right. So, but what I'm liking about that is Power just continually. He goes out there, he's healthy, he plays, he's reliable. I think he's a big bounce back. You know, John Hansen from Fantasy Points said he's a buy low. Other things positive going on there, right? Elick, Amon-Ra, 7 targets.
79% snap share.
That's
7
the guy I want to
targets.
talk about.
That's the
because
production you're looking
he's still a guy that most fantasy people have never even heard of. They don't know who he is. They don't know his college pedigree. We talked about it in the last episode of Fantasy Jerks. This is a guy that is on his way to being the wide receiver 1 in Tennessee at the end of this year, correct?
I mean, he's on the field. He's going to be on the field. In his first game ever, 79% snap share. He only got 2 catches, but what you love to see is that 7 targets.
It's
I
huge.
mean, a lot of times with these rookies, they start slow, but when you see that production there early, he trusts him. And Cam Ward, as being a rookie QB, they like to attach themselves to certain players. He could make Alec Ayumanor his wide receiver 1.
Yeah, I'm all in. I love him as a prospect. I have him in Dynasty. I'm trying to put my money where my mouth is.
Go and get it. Elick Ayo Manor, and finally, Jaden Daniels commies. I told everybody that Austin Eckler was going to be very viable. He looks like he's worth owning. Bill came through and looked
big time.
Looked pretty dynamic. I think that guy's going to get more and more snaps as the year goes on.
Yeah, Bill was incredibly efficient, fast, explosive.
Yes, explosive, shifty, absolutely.
Yeah.
Is this the offseason where we're supposed to listen to all the hype? All the hype on these guys. You're
Sometimes
The
it's
hype's been
easy.
pretty strong
Dude.
this year, pretty accurate this year, right?
Yes, sometimes it's easy. Sometimes the beat reporters and the Twitters are right. You know, like when Puka year 1. If you were listening to the beat writers, if you were listening to the Derek Brown,
He's on every one of my dynasty leagues.
yeah, right. I got him because of that positive press, right? Now you don't want to overpay, and then maybe Ollie Gordon will come too, right? Like this stuff isn't always right, but for the price of a lot of these guys, you got to go and you got to smash. Anson, you were right on Debo. Great week 1. Maybe it's a sell high. I don't know. McLaurin is coming back. Jaden Daniels, Zach Ertz still have that connection.
Yep.
That defense looks.
Started Zach Ertz in my league.
Yeah, that defense looks. Washington looks.
My
pretty,
touchdown league, should I say?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one thing to be very careful with there is Scary Terry McLaurin. You have to remember this guy was out all offseason, no OTAs, no preseason, no training camp. The familiarity is there, but the rhythm isn't quite yet. And he just got back with the team. I wasn't expecting him. He was out of my lineups. I wasn't expecting him to have a great first week. I'm not even necessarily expecting him to have a great second week. But this is a guy I think that you're going to have guys coming after to buy low from you. I think, if anything, people should be out buying low on him.
I agree.
In terms of Debo, I'm not selling yet.
Okay.
Because I saw them scheme him the ball in all kinds of different scenarios. End arounds, screen passes, downfield. So I think that you're going to have 2 startable wide receivers in Washington, and you're just going to have that much of a better Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I think that's entirely possible. Washington looks really damn good.
Yeah, they do. Definitely a playoff team once again, as we know all too well here in Detroit. Well, let's touch on the Fantasy Jerks League. I forgot to mention at the beginning that we would give you guys a little recap of week 1. And when you know it, the guy who scored the most points in the league was not me. It was Xavier with the No-Tur Crazy X, put up 151. But then I came in second. No Vaseline. Where are those points at?
Oh, sorry.
There they are.
Yep.
146.18. You can bring that back up.
There we go.
Number 3, our guy Ryan, who is not with us today, but will be back next week. Team
Shout out,
Anchor
Ryan.
Bay. Now, I got to say, though, Xavier and I are 5 points separated. Then the next 8 or 9 teams are all within about 25 points of each other, but they're all 27 points behind us.
Yeah, don't try to make me feel good, Anson. There was nothing feel good about my
I
week
wasn't
one.
trying to, buddy. I wasn't trying.
The punching bag made a punching bag out of me. So much underperformance.
Oh, you played Biggins.
Yeah, and
Okay.
Biggins got me.
Biggins is in the playoffs right now. He's the 6th seed.
Yeah, and I will say Kittle, that hurt.
Oh, boy, yeah. He hurt me in another league as well. I couldn't take him at that high of a price.
I got him in the 3rd. It wasn't that high.
It seems
still hurts.
seems high right now, but
It seems high right now.
He'll be back. He'll definitely be back. But yeah, RJ Graham talking about the tiers here. Yeah, there's a very high upper tier there, and then the rest of the teams, except save one guy at the bottom who I know will get better. Though they're all jammed up, but we will keep checking in on this at the end of each weekly Fantasy Jerks episode. Are we able to get that YouTube thing up?
I was not able to get a YouTube.
Okay, so listen, guys, I apologize because I had this punishment for our league all put together, but then I realized, well, it's got copywritten material and I can't even show it to you. So I'm digging deep. Brandon's going to dig deep. Brendan's going to dig deep. We're going to find a few more different possibilities. We'll show them to you guys over the next month. And
Still
then,
haven't watched the sperm donor, have you?
Okay, do tell.
We're
have to.
going to cover it next week. That's a little
Oh,
teaser.
you did tell me that.
What
We
a
will
pro
get
tease.
into that one next week.
No copyrighted material in that one.
Listen, guys, this is our 3rd or 4th show. We're still debating that.
4th. No debate. It's our 4th show.
I need
real talk.
We need to ask you guys very seriously. Can you take this stream once we finish here in just a moment? Copy that URL and post it to your fantasy league. Post it to the fantasy insiders that you followed, to that group on Facebook or wherever you're at. We need to grow.
Send it to your mom.
Send it to your mom. We can only grow with your help, so please share the stream. Make sure you
And we can only grow
smash
with
that
your
like
mom.
button. There's only come on. We need some more likes here, guys. Everybody that's still with us right now, smash that like button. Get us a few more, but we appreciate everybody showing up each week for this. We appreciate Chris Platty for filling in today.
No problem. My pleasure. It was fun to do this, boys.
Yeah, we'll have to have you
Shout out,
back and
Chris.
check in on that New Orleans, Miami fantasy squad of yours towards the end of the year.
I
Hey,
feel
he's
fine
not-
about it. I feel fine about
should.
all my picks. I got some sleepers. I got some rookies, some dogs. So
He's not playing
Season-
me next week,
season's
so it'll
early.
be easier for him.
I know he'll have plenty to contribute even more when
Like
we
I said.
get into hoops.
Thanks,
season.
Chris.
Yeah. Hoop
Brendan,
season, come see me.
Bomber, did you win or did you lose? You won?
I lost.
Oh,
I
you did.
lost.
Oh!
Who's your quarterback?
My quarterback was Caleb Williams, who was the QB9, as we mentioned this week. He was not the reason I lost. The reason I lost is you could say I was a spit away from a win. I had Jalen Carter as my starting defensive lineman in this fantasy football league. I lost by 4-point-something points.
You weren't watching the pregame show for when they were spitting in each other's face?
Right, yeah. I should have seen that, and I should have been like, this guy, he's got to keep his spit in his mouth here, and that's a problem. I think I got to have a talk with him, like Chris said. It's just a locker room talk. You got to pull the guy aside. You got to tell him this is not acceptable, and
Yeah.
you're not going to be a part of Team Bomber anymore if this keeps.
You got to figure out a way to get to him and
That's
motivate
right. You
him,
got to
buddy.
come through for the
Right.
bomber.
I
I'll
have,
feel this
I
this
have
year.
great confidence in the Bomber, though. Brandon, always good to have you back. And you're 2-4, 3-3. What is the deal? Or are we lying because you don't want your old lady to hear exactly how many leagues you're in?
He's 1-0.
Great answer right there.
Yeah, 1-1. It's week 1. It's a long season.
Yes.
Thanks,
it
everybody.
is. We appreciate you all. We'll be right back here next Wednesday, 7:30 start. Fantasy Jerks, powered by FantasySports.com. Y'all have a great and wonderful Wednesday night.
The Joiks.
Detroit has the best sports fans in the world. That's why they deserve the best sports coverage in the world. We are the Woodward Sports Network.